Jonathan Smith Show on Indy Sports Ticket, 1430 AM, 93.9 HD2, and always on the free Indy Sports Ticket app.
Woo! What a night last night. Watching World Cup games. Man, someone messed with my camera. Look at this nonsense. All right. Big night last night. A lot of World Cup stuff going on. I'm having a blast watching it. You might as well watch. I mean, what else is going on? There's no NBA Finals. There's no Stanley Cup Final. Watch the World Cup. It's a lot of fun. Welcome into the real Jonathan Smith Show. You're on Indy Sports Ticket. Thanks for tuning in, no matter how you're tuning in, whether that's YouTube, Indy Sports Ticket. If you want to head over there and subscribe, you can watch the show on X, _ Jonathan Smith to follow me there and watch the show there. You can also listen on the Indy Sports Ticket app or 1430 a.m. Kevin Potts joins us at 1:20 today to talk about Brendan Sorsby. Jared Dubin at 2 o'clock to talk about the Knicks winning the finals. Big show today. I want to start with the Colts, though. When you look at the Colts this upcoming year, the biggest group that needs help, as we are all very well aware of, is the edge rushing room. And because of that, we're going to talk about that room, that position, more than any of the other ones for the entirety of the Colts offseason. And when training camp rolls around, that group of players is going to be the one that we pay attention to no matter what they do. Good, bad, happy, sad, whatever. We're very focused on what the edge rushing room looks like for the Colts this year. Okay? Right now, this pass rush is like a house with a gorgeous interior, but the front door is wide open and the lock is broken. It doesn't matter how nice the furniture is. It doesn't matter how good Sauce Gardner and Shavarius Ward are. If anyone can just walk right in. Because then they're going to take everything from you, and they're going to hang 40 on you. And I know Joey Bosa's out there. Jadeveon Clowney's out there. We heard it from Jake Arthur yesterday that, he thinks that, if the Colts were to sign one of them, it wouldn't be Bosa. It would be Clowney. And here's the thing. Even if they sign Jadeveon Clowney, there'll still be plenty of concern. But I think we'll feel a little better, but I don't think it completely puts your soul at ease when it comes to the edge rushers for the Indianapolis Colts. And me personally, I don't like the idea of betting on a guy who's played on 6 teams in the last 7 years and has never had a single season with double-digit sacks. Wait, never mind. That guy's a Colt. Another edge rusher who's never had 10 sacks in a season. Jadeveon Clowney, come on down. You are exactly what Chris Ballard is looking for right now. And signing Jadeveon Clowney at this point in his career, it's like buying a used sports car that's had 6 different owners in the last 7 years. It looks flashy in the driveway, but it's never actually going to hit top speed. Top speed, by the way, is only 9.5 sacks. Who would have thought that? Jadeveon Clowney's best season would be the equivalent of Samson Ebukam's, best season here in Indy. Jadeveon Clowney never had a double-digit sack season, and I don't think that is just randomly going to pivot, and all of a sudden Jadeveon Clowney is going to look like a guy who deserved to be the number 1 overall pick. And the only way that I'm going to shut up about this, because this is, when you look at the Colts roster up and down, far and away the biggest weakness on the roster. The only way I'm going to shut up about this is if they make a trade for an edge that immediately lifts the room. Maybe that's Kayvon Thibodeau from the New York Giants. I know Chris would just be heartbroken if another Tibbs left New York.
No, I like if, sometimes the Giants players come over to the Colts. As long as they do okay, then I'm fine with it.
Okay.
I'd rather them be on the Colts than the Giants.
Why is that? You're a Giants fan.
But I mean,
are you saying that the Giants have bad players?
No, not at all. Like, I was happy when, I wasn't super excited about Daniel Jones, but I was happy about Ahmad Bradshaw coming over. And whenever we pull people over from the Giants, as long as they do great, I'm cool with it.
Okay, fair enough.
Just to clarify.
Okay, no, hey, I appreciate it. I like clarity. Clarity is very important. So maybe it's Kayvon Thibodeau, younger player, dealt with some injuries, but the one healthy season he had like 11 and a half sacks, if I remember correctly. Maybe it's Josh Sweat. Really good player, older, playing for an Arizona Cardinal team that is trying to lose football games. If you don't believe me, just look at the fact that they drafted Carson Beck. I think that tells you all you need to know about their goals this year as a football team. Okay. By the way, Josh Sweat, like 12 and a half sacks last year. Like, the dude's still a really good player. Should have been Super Bowl MVP for Philly a couple years ago. Anyway, I don't think that they're going to get either one of those guys because they already don't have a first-round pick next year, and I don't think they want to lose any more top 100 picks for an edge rusher at least. We'll come back to that top 100 picks thing a little bit later. So that means the cavalry is not coming. So the Colts better develop these guys or they're going to struggle to get after the quarterback this year. Now, there has been some talk that with DeForest Buckner being an older player, he'll play on the edge a little bit more this year. I don't know if they're going to be able to do that very often because while Colby Wooden's a good player, starting caliber player for, what had been a pretty good Green Bay defense, but they rotate these defensive tackles and nose guards so often. And I don't think that the Colts have the depth at defensive tackle to be able to play Buckner out wide a ton. There's just a lack of depth there. Like, Adetomiwa Adebawore is a good pass rushing defensive tackle, but you don't want him out there on 1st and 10 when the other team's probably going to run the football. I also don't know if DeForest Buckner's that kind of a pass rusher. When people smarter than me talk about edge rushers, they talk a lot about bend and ankle flexion and things like that. That is not normally something that defensive tackles have a ton of because you're not bending around an offensive guard. You're just beating him off the ball, pushing him back, maybe showing him a nice little swim move every now and then. Okay. And so I don't know if he's that kind of a pass rusher. Okay. Asking a massive defensive tackle like DeForest Buckner to consistently bend around the edge is like asking a commercial semi-truck to drift around a tight corner on a racetrack. It's just not what the chassis was built to do. Unless you're, Dom Toretto. I think he's probably the only person ever who could drift a semi-truck. I'm surprised they haven't done that in one of the movies yet. Chris, are you a Fast and Furious guy?
I like it, yeah.
Dude, I can't get Amelia to watch them. I've been trying so hard.
That's unfortunate.
Dude, she's missing out. She's not listening right now. But,
yeah. Yeah, Michelle Rodriguez was like my celebrity crush for a long time. I don't know if she's still in the series, but like the first couple movies.
Probably. Yeah. I don't know why. I don't know why she wouldn't be, But now, by the way, Idiocracy is not available to stream anywhere. You sent me the trailer last night, and I don't rent movies. I pay for Netflix and Amazon Prime and all those things.
Okay, it's on Prime. You can look it up on Prime and
you have
can
to rent it on Prime.
Well, yeah, we'll watch it and then it goes away. Just watch it. You have it for like 24 hours.
Yeah, but you have to rent it.
Okay, we'll rent it.
No.
Don't be
I
difficult,
pay for all
Jonathan.
these streaming services. I'm not paying another $5 to rent a movie.
This is the wrong answer.
When it pops up, look. When it pops up, I'll check it out.
All right. Well, I think I have it on DVD at home. You have a DVD player still?
Yeah.
All right,
yeah.
I'll bring it in for you.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Hey, I would do that. I'm cheap. When it comes to stuff like that, I'm incredibly cheap.
I get it. I mean, like I think I haven't watched DVDs in a long time, but that might be the only one I still have on DVD.
Okay. Yeah. Let's do it, man. So, all right. Anyway, with that being said about DeForest Buckner not Fast and Furious, Chris Jones rushes the passer just fine, both inside and out. We've seen Cam Hayward in Pittsburgh rush inside and out a lot throughout his career. So can DeForest Buckner do it? I don't know, but we have seen other defensive tackles move out wide and find success. Maybe that's the answer for the Colts this year when it comes to their struggles to rush the passer with 4. Okay, because if he can do that, that'd be really big for the Colts. On passing downs, you could put him and Latu on the edges. And on the interior, you could play Colby Wooden and Adetomiwa Adebawore. That is what he's – look, Zach Hicks has been on the show enough for you to know that Adetomiwa Adebawore can get after the passer, lining up at defensive tackle. And so that could be a thing if DeForest Buckner can rush off the edge that makes the Colts better on pass rush or better on obvious passing downs, right? The problem is going to be all of the other downs. If I played the Colts, I would throw the ball on first down a lot because I think that the run defense is going to be good with Grover Stewart, DeForest Buckner, and C.J. Allen kind of holding down the middle. And on those downs, you're going to have Arden Key or Jalen Tuimoloau coming off the edge. Then they're just not going to generate pressure on those snaps. And that's going to be a problem for the Indianapolis Colts this season. Jake Arthur, Locked On Colts, joined the show yesterday. He was at minicamp, and he mentioned that during minicamp, Arden Key was getting the majority of the reps with the ones over Tuimoloau. They weren't even splitting them 50-50. Here's the thing. Arden Key was not brought in to be the starter. I don't think that's what the Colts envisioned for him when they signed him. He's going to be 30 this year, and he's never had an outstanding year. He's had 30.5 sacks in 8 seasons. That is an average of 3.8 sacks per year. Not great. The 1 year he started 15 games for the Tennessee Titans, he had 6.5 sacks. That's clearly not enough production from your starting edge. Also, if they're starting that guy, 30-year-old with, only with 30.5 sacks in his career, if they're starting that guy over a second-round pick in Jalen Tuimoloau, go ahead and label Jalen Tuimoloau as a bust. If he can't beat out Arden Key to be the starter, then this may be Chris Ballard's biggest whiff on an edge rusher, which is saying something. That's really saying something given the number of misses that Chris Ballard has had on guys coming off the edge. Okay? I don't think this is a coaching thing either. Sometimes players end up in the wrong system, and then they, hit free agency, they go somewhere else, and then they turn into a really good player. Or a new coach comes in, the scheme changes, and all of a sudden they become a really good player. Lou Anarumo is on a short list of defensive coordinators who can shift things to fit personnel. And Tuimoloau still didn't play last year. And the Colts had edge rushers that missed games, like Latu missed a game, Ebukam missed 3 games, Taekwon Lewis missed 4 games, and Jalen Tuimoloau still didn't see the field. The Colts have built a nice back 7 on their defense. But this front 4 has the potential to ruin everything, though. They have to find a solution to that if they're going to beat the better teams this year. Because that's how you beat all of the good quarterbacks. If you blitz Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, Dak Prescott, and the other good quarterbacks on the Colts schedule, then they're going to tear you to shreds. Like, blitzing those guys without a natural 4-man rush is like trying to put out a warehouse fire with a squirt gun. You're just going to get burned a little bit faster. That's obviously not what the Colts want. And that's why it's hard to bet on the Colts winning a lot of games this year. They don't have great quarterback play. Daniel Jones is average at best. And they don't have the ability to get after the passer. One of my buddies over the weekend went to a wedding, and he sat by a Colts player. And he said, "Hey, man, how many games do you think that you guys are going to win?" And that Colts player looked at him and said, 11 or 12 games. I wish I had been there. I'd have slapped him. Like, ain't no way. Don't lie to me. There's no way you think that. There's no way you think answer. That. There's no way you think that. Absolutely not. Have you seen your schedule? Have you seen a list of all the teams that you're going to play? Seriously. You're not winning 11 or 12 games when you have an average quarterback and a bad pass rush. It's a losing recipe. Okay? You can have great receivers, corners, and running backs all you want. Doesn't matter if you can't rush the passer and if you have an average level quarterback. Colts seem like they're screwed, right? Unless they make some sort of a trade or Jadeveon Clowney reverts back to the guy that he was at South Carolina a long time ago. Just go ahead and accept it. It's going to be a long year of watching Colts football. We'll see if it finally results in a little bit of a regime change with Chris Ballard. Now, I have an idea. The college football drama has officially spilled into federal court, but quarterback Brendan Sorsby just made it easier on everyone by declaring for the supplemental draft. Finding a franchise in the NFL draft is hard, but finding a franchise quarterback in the supplemental draft is like finding a luxury vehicle on a salvage auction site. Now, it's got a dented title because of the gambling scandal, but the engine's pretty nice. I'll explain why Chris Ballard needs to throw a second-round pick at Brendan Sorsby in 3 minutes.
If it's in today's sports world, it's here. The real Jonathan Smith Show on Indy Sports Ticket 1430 AM, 93.9 HD2, and always on the free Indy Sports Ticket app.
Brendan Sorsby is entering the NFL supplemental draft. As the drama of college football continues on, the Big 12 has gone to federal court to try to keep Brendan Sorsby from playing college football this year. Texas Tech continues to act like they're not doing anything wrong. And yesterday went very quickly from, we'll see if they can get a ruling on Sorsby before the year starts, to it doesn't really matter because Brendan Sorsby's gone. Very intrigued to see if Michigan decides to uncancel their volleyball game against Texas Tech, because they did that yesterday before this announcement came out as well. And I'm glad that Brendan Sorsby just went ahead and made this easier on everybody. The Big 12 has gone to federal court, or I already said that part. No, I didn't. The Big 12 was ready to go to federal court to see if he could not play. And, you know, he's not going to play at all now, right? He won't play in college football at all this year, which means Texas Tech is going to probably have to play Will Hammond. They'll be just fine. Okay, he played well in the, you know, he played well in the games that he got to play in last year, 12 total touchdowns, and he only played in, you know, a few games. So good player. Texas Tech will be just fine without Sorsby in what might be the worst conference in college football this year, the Big 12. My biggest question now about Brendan Sorsby is, how are NFL teams going to view him? If you were running an organization and you could draft a guy that you know bet the under on his teammates at IU, because he did, how would you go about it? I think it's really easy to say he bet on his own team. I think we'll pass. And I understand why people would feel that way. But desperate times call for desperate measures. And I think that if you're a general manager in, you know, year 10 and you haven't made the playoffs in 6 years, desperate times are upon you. And you should, you know, maybe go for something a little bit. If I was the Colts and I was Chris Ballard, I would absolutely try to get Brendan Sorsby in the NFL supplemental draft. Now, here's the thing. The supplemental draft is weird. Here's how it works. So it has a completely different rhythm than the NFL draft. Teams are separated into 3 groups, and the order within those groups is decided through a weighted lottery. And so the groups include, in order, teams with 6 wins or fewer, non-playoff teams with 7 or more wins, then playoff teams. Okay? Now, in order to select a player, a team must bid a draft pick on that player, and then the highest bid secures the rights to the player. If there is a tie, the winner is the team with the highest pick in the highest group. So, for example, let's say that, you know, the Browns and the Colts bid the same pick on the same player. He would go to the Browns because the Browns are a team that did not make the playoffs last year and had less than 6 wins. Okay, whereas like if the Colts and the Seahawks bet a pick on the same player, they would go to the Colts because the Colts did not make the playoffs, and obviously the Seattle Seahawks did. Okay, so that is a very basic version of how that works. Okay, and then obviously, you know, in order to select a player, you bid, tie goes to the team in the highest group. Teams that are awarded a player, this is important. Teams that are awarded a player in the supplemental draft must forfeit the pick they bid in the following draft. For example, if a team bids a 3rd-round pick on a player this year and is awarded the player, they would lose its 3rd-round pick in the 2027 NFL draft. Here's the thing. The Colts do not have a 1st-round pick next year. Their current quarterback is coming off a torn Achilles and is only on a 2-year deal. Their path to getting a potential franchise quarterback right now is muddy at best. Feels dang near impossible. They're waiting at least 2 years to be able to draft a guy in the 1st round, which is where the vast majority of starting quarterbacks in the NFL are drafted. More specifically, the majority of the great ones were taken within the first 10 picks. Right now, the Colts are standing outside a high-end dealership with empty pockets looking at franchise quarterbacks they cannot afford. Okay? And the supplemental draft could potentially be like finding a luxury vehicle listed on a salvage auction site. Yes, it's got, a dented title because of the gambling scandal, but the engine under the hood, it's still pristine. If I was the Colts, I would bid a second-round pick and see if Brendan Sorsby's history scares everyone else away. If you get him, you get a guy who would have gone in the first round this year if he'd come out, and probably would have been a first-round pick next year if, he'd played this year at Tech. You get that for a second-round pick. So, well, Jonathan, what about all the other teams that need a quarterback? When you look at the NFL, a lot of the other teams that need a quarterback are set up to be awful this year. Like, they're set up to be terrible. The New York Jets are lined up to be awful. And guess what? The Jets are going to have 2 first-round picks next year in a draft that has what is supposed to be a lot of really good quarterbacks. Okay, like New York is not thinking, yeah, we want Brendan Sorsby. No. They're thinking we want Arch Manning or whoever they have at the top of their board. The Browns are set up to be terrible. You know what they're thinking? Dante Moore, you are a Cleveland Brown. Why would they bid a first or a second round pick on a quarterback that they're just going to bench next year when they use their first round pick on them? The Titans set up to be terrible. Guess what? They have Cam Ward. They don't need a quarterback. The Raiders, they're set up to be terrible. Guess what? They have Fernando Mendoza, this year's number 1 overall pick. Why would they bid on Brendan Sorsby? There's no reason to. Giants, 4-13 last year. We'll see how good they are this year. They have Jackson Dart. They don't need a quarterback. Who else was really bad? The Saints drafted a quarterback, Tyler Shuck, last year that they really like. They don't need a quarterback. They think that they're going to be pretty good this year. Okay, and then you have the Arizona Cardinals, who, again, are set up to be terrible. They're thinking Lenore Sellers, Arch Manning, Dante Moore, one of those great quarterbacks. So all of the other desperately quarterback-needy teams, they're not thinking Brendan Sorsby is their next guy. They're probably thinking, let's just be bad this year. We're already set up to be terrible, and we're going to get a guy, and maybe Arch or Dante or whoever it is, that we think is better than Sorsby. Because don't get me wrong. Well, I do think, if Sorsby had played at Tech this year, he would have been a first-round pick next year, but I don't think he would have gone in front of, like, the big fish in next year's draft. Dante Moore, Arch Manning, and so on. So I do think there's an opportunity for the Colts to maybe be able to slide in and grab a guy in Brendan Sorsby, because their path to finding a franchise quarterback is just not very obvious. And what I would do, if the Colts got him, I would sit him behind Daniel Jones this year. And I would hide him until everyone forgot about him. Because when the Colts get him, people are going to be all up in arms. How could you take a guy who bet against his own team, and all of those things? How could you do that? Whatever. Okay, I would sit him behind Daniel Jones. When you get asked about him, say, hey, look, he's not going to play this year. He's going to spend the year, at a gambling rehab facility. Do all that kind of stuff. You remember when Tiger Woods got in trouble the first time, crashes his car, you find out that he's been like cheating on his wife, all that kind of stuff. He cheated on her like 15 times. And they're like, he's a sex addict or whatever. Meanwhile, 15, that's like backup small forward numbers in the NBA. But hey, I digress. And so Tiger Woods just went away for a while, got rehabilitated, and he came back, and everyone's like, oh, Tiger Woods. Masters are so much better when he's here. Do the same thing. Send him away for a year. Hide him, in the closet. Don't let anybody see him. Take his phone away so he can't do anything stupid while you're hiding him in the closets. And then, if you get him, you get a guy who would have gone in the first round this year and probably next year if he'd come out. You get all that for a second-round pick. This is the easiest path for the Indianapolis Colts to find a quarterback talented enough to maybe be a long-term franchise quarterback. Long-term franchise quarterback. We haven't said that about a Colts quarterback in forever. You know, a guy that you can give a contract to that's longer than a year or two, which is what they've had to do time and time again since Andrew Luck left. Carson Wentz, 1-year deal. Daniel Jones last year, 1-year deal. Matt Ryan was only here for a year. Phillip Rivers was here for 1 year. Yeah, or I guess 1.5 if you count last year. And so on. Daniel Jones is like the longest tenured Colts quarterback since Andrew Luck. And a guy like Brendan Sorsby, young, talented, got some baggage. That's where the Colts are at right now. That is what their budget can afford them. A guy who's got some talent but has some baggage that scares other people away. We're the A's in Moneyball right now. So, yeah, we don't have the draft budget to go grab a guy that's just naturally talented. So we're going to go to the supplemental draft and hope and pray that we can get a guy that's talented but has some issues. It is a risk. I understand it. But when you're the Colts, sometimes you have to take a risk because great quarterbacks don't hit the free agent market. Even Sam Darnold, as good as he was last year, he wasn't great. Seattle won with him, not because of him, and so on. So this is what this team has been missing for years. The roster around the quarterback for the Colts is never terrible. It's always pretty good. And I think that's the case again this year, minus the defensive line. Like the offensive line's really good. When you look at the Colts pass catchers between Pierce and Downs and Warren, solid. It's good. You can win with that. Obviously, Jonathan Taylor, a complete stud. If C.J. Allen's good, I think that we're going to like the linebackers this year. The secondary is outstanding. Again, defensive line needs some work. But if they had a viable quarterback option, if they had, Justin Herbert or C.J. Stroud or something like that, I think that people would talk about the Colts like they're a playoff team. The problem is they don't have that. They don't have that at all. That's what this team is missing. The roster around the quarterback is never terrible. The issue is the quarterback's never good enough to elevate everybody else. Okay? And maybe Brendan Sorsby can be that guy for you. And if you don't go get him, then you're not getting one in the draft next year, which means you're waiting 2 years before you have an opportunity to draft a quarterback that could actually solve all of your problems. Speaking of solving problems in the draft, we are a week away from the NBA draft. So for Top 10 Tuesday this week, I'm counting down my biggest NBA draft takes. I'll tell you why judging one prospect on his vertical leap is like judging a master chef by how fast he can run out of the kitchen. Plus, I'll tell you why another projected top 5 pick is essentially a high-end movie trailer. Great 2-minute highlights, but absolutely no plot in 3 minutes.
may, one day, be a must-listen for sports enthusiasts.
Yeah, and monkeys might fly out of my butt.
Uh-oh.
The Real Jonathan Smith Show on Indy Sports Ticket 1430 AM, 93.9 HD2, and always on the free Indy Sports Ticket app.
Good old Top 10 Tuesday. We do it every single week. Before we get into it, though, Chris, great call. Tell everybody what you said during the break.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking earlier about Aaron Rodgers and his situation. He's kind of flaky in Pittsburgh. I could see him landing in Steelers uniform. Sorsby. I forget the name of the kid that they drafted. Didn't have a whole lot of
Drew Aller.
Yeah. So I mean, look at your QB room in Pittsburgh. I think he could fit in there, or it might sound like something that Jerry Jones in Dallas would do too. You know what I mean?
Just because it's Dallas.
Yeah. They'd be like, well, let's give all the naysayers something to talk about, come to Dallas and forget about it. And then his career is kicked off.
There you go. All right. I like it. The Pittsburgh thing makes a lot of sense depending on how much they like Drew Aller. So we'll see. That's interesting. I think that's a great call. So it is time for Top 10 Tuesday.
Top 10 Tuesday!
All right, the NBA draft is a week away. So today for Top 10 Tuesday, I'm going to give you my 10 takes on the upcoming NBA draft. Let's start number 10 here. Cam Boozer is going to be the best player in this draft. He is the guy I would take number 1 overall. He is an incredible basketball player, and that is what we are drafting. He is not a great vertical athlete. Who cares? A lot of power forwards aren't great vertical athletes. Dirk Nowitzki, Tim Duncan, Karl Malone, and so on. You need power forwards now to be able to play on the perimeter, so lateral quickness, guard multiple positions, strength and lateral quickness, and rebound. He does all of those things, and he can be the hub of your offense. So many of the best players in the NBA right now aren't special vertical athletes. SGA, Jokic, Luka, Kawhi, Cade Cunningham, Jaylen Brown, Steph Curry, Jalen Brunson, Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, and so on are all on the list of who I would argue are the 15 best NBA players in the world right now. None of those guys have 40-inch verticals. Judging a basketball player purely by his vertical leap is like judging a master chef by how fast they can run out of the kitchen. Sure, speed is nice, but I'm here for the product they cook up on the floor. Okay? It looks cool, but this isn't a high jump league. It's a basketball league. Cam Boozer can dribble, pass, shoot. He processes the game really well. He can post up. He can rebound. He can guard. That's the guy that I would take. Number 9, Darius Acuff is going to be fun, but I don't know if he's a number 1 option. You have to be willing to play defense in the NBA. That's the biggest thing. Steph Curry, Jalen Brunson, and Isaiah Thomas are the 3 latest small guards to ever win a championship as the best players on their team. Isaiah Thomas was a good defender, and then Steph Curry and Jalen Brunson were willing defenders. Darius Acuff was not a willing defender at Arkansas. With that being said, I think he's more Kyrie Irving than anything else offensively. Not in terms of like how good he's going to be. They play very different styles, but just in terms of the role that he needs. Watching Darius Acuff play offense is like watching a brilliant solo guitarist. Sounds incredible, but he can leave the rest of the band just kind of standing around, tapping their feet, waiting for a turn. If he's your best offensive player, it's a lot of watching him dribble. If he's your second best offensive player, then you love that. Kyrie Irving never won anything apart from LeBron. He was on bad teams consistently until he got to play with Luka and the Mavericks in Dallas, where he was their second offensive option. That is the kind of guy that Darius Acuff needs to be. Number 8 is Keaton Wagler. He is the best point guard in this draft class. Everyone is enamored with Darius Acuff because he was awesome at Arkansas, right? Acuff can score at every level of the floor, all those things. But guess what? So can Keaton Wagler. He's also big, and he's long, and he's a good athlete. Okay? I really like Wagler, okay? Because he's a better defender than Darius Acuff. I think he's a better passer than Acuff. He takes more risks as a passer than Acuff does, which I like. I think he sees the floor a little bit better. Again, I like his size more, and I think he'll be the 5th pick, and I think he'll be a better player than Darius Acuff. Number 7, Darren Peterson is going to be fine in the NBA. I don't think he's going to deal with cramps. I think he's going to score 1 million points. I don't know how the rest of his game is going to be, though. He's a gifted scorer. And this is going to sound crazy, but this is what I believe. He could be Kobe Bryant. He's a very fluid mover. He's got a nice jump shot. I don't think he'll be Kobe. Let me say that. But that is his ceiling. He is that special as a scorer. The lack of playmaking is concerning from him at Kansas, though. Like 1.5 assists a game. Come on now. And I'd like to see a little more athleticism from him. But if he was really dealing with injuries, then I can let the lack of athleticism shown slide. But I would have liked to have seen a little more playmaking from him. My next take for Top 10 Tuesday, AJ DeBonsa is going to go number 1, and everyone's going to get mad at Trae Young for not passing him the ball next year. Having a bunch of assists doesn't mean you're a great playmaker. Throwing grenades and lobs after dribbling the ball for 20 seconds doesn't make you a great playmaker, and that's who Trae Young is. Trae Young's assists are like a bad boss giving you a project 5 minutes before the deadline. Sure, you got the assignment, but he put you in a terrible spot to finish it. Like, Tyrese Halliburton has a lower assist number, but anyone who's watched the two understands the difference. Halliburton, I think, really elevates his teammates. I don't think Trae Young does that. It's going to be frustrating next year watching him ignore the new face of the Wizards, which will likely be AJ DeBonsa. Next take, Caleb Wilson is going to be really fun to watch in highlight reels. I don't know how good of a basketball player he's going to be, though. Caleb Wilson is a 6'10" freak that's going to go number 4 overall to the Bulls. And if you watch 5 minutes of highlights on YouTube, you could convince yourself he's the best player in the draft. He soars over everyone for awesome dunks and blocks. Can't really do much else, though. Can't shoot. He only took 27 threes all year at North Carolina, only made 25% of those. He only shot 71% from the foul line. He's not a good passer. To his credit, though, he's a willing one. The ball doesn't stick. He doesn't really have the handle to create his own shot. He's essentially a high-end movie trailer. The 2 minutes you see look like an absolute blockbuster, but when you sit down for the full 2-hour film, you realize there's not much of a plot. Caleb Wilson's peak is he's going to be a defensive anchor who scores off of cuts and lobs. If the jumper develops, maybe he can be special. I just don't think that there was a lot of showing for that during his time at North Carolina. Number 4, or fourth to last take. A point guard that should go in the top 10 is going to fall outside of the top 12. He'll go late lottery instead. After you get past the big 4, there's a long list of guards. When you look at the 11 best players in the draft, you can make a real argument that the next, that 6 of the top 11 players in the draft are point guards. Darius Acuff, Keaton Wagler, Braden Burries, Phylon Jr. out of Alabama, Mikal Brown Jr., and Kingston Fleming. 6 of the top 11 teams in the NBA draft do not need a point guard. One of those guys is going to fall. If I had to bet on which one, it would be Fleming's. He's the smallest of the bunch, and he doesn't have the length to really make up for it. I get it. He played for Houston, so he tries hard on defense. That'll translate. I just don't know how good of a defender he's actually going to be because of that lack of size. Third to last take here. Malik Thomas will be the best late first-round draft pick in this year's draft. He's going to come off the bench, and get buckets for a decade in the NBA. And he can guard the ball. He is a special player that got overshadowed by Darius Acuff at Arkansas. He is 6'5". He has incredibly long arms. He's a former five-star guy coming out of high school. Whoever takes him, and he's projected to go somewhere between 25th and 30th, they're going to get a good player. They're going to get a guy who, again, can come in off the bench like a Jordan Clarkson type and just get buckets. And that's really what you want in a guy who comes in off the bench. Second to last take here. Adai Mara is going to go too high. That's the center, the 7'3" center out of Michigan. I don't think he should go earlier than 12 to OKC. If they don't take him, then he shouldn't go in the top 15. But Wemby inflation is coming. Some team is going to take him just because he's tall. Wemby inflation is going to be a massive thing in every draft going forward. Teams are going to be frantically buying up all the tall players the same way people frantically bought toilet paper a few years ago during COVID. Just hoarding size because they're terrified of being left exposed. Here's what teams need to just go ahead and accept. There is no Wemby stopper. He's not coming. He doesn't exist. He is a figment of your imagination. Drafting 7'3" guys out of college, not your answer. Because if they were 7'3" and they moved like Wemby, they wouldn't be in college for multiple years. They would have gone straight to the league. Okay, I get it. You need tall guys to throw at him, but I seriously, like, go grab a 6'8" wing instead. They're going to do every bit as good a job as Adai Mara is guarding Wemby, and the answer is not very well. Okay, there's not very many people who even have a chance of guarding that guy, so don't even worry about it. Okay, we saw the same thing, 25 years ago when Shaquille O'Neal was in the league. It's like, oh, we have to draft centers because we need at least 4 of them, so we have 24 fouls to throw at Shaq. That's what happened. We're going to see a very similar thing here with Adai Mara. Final take here. Dalen Swain out of Texas. He is my guilty pleasure player in this NBA draft. He is the guy that I like more than everybody else, I think. I absolutely love him. He's a 6'8" junior out of Texas. Everyone's like, Yaxel Lindenborg. Dalen Swain. That's, my response. Again, 6'8" junior out of Texas. Purdue fans, you should know exactly who I'm talking about. He gave you a lot of trouble in that Sweet 16 game. Okay? He attacks the rim in just a rare way for a guy his size. Very fluid mover. Has a lot of body control around the rim. With that being said, he has to develop his jump shot. Okay, now, here's the difference between him and what we've seen from Caleb Wilson so far. Caleb Wilson, bad shooter his freshman year at North Carolina, both from 3 and from the foul line. Dalen Swain's shooting has improved every year since he got in college. Couldn't hit the broadside of a barn in his freshman year when he was playing at Xavier. He could hit the broadside of a barn his sophomore year. In his junior year, he became a below average shooter. So it's improved. He's got to keep working on it a little bit. But if he can become a knockdown shooter, you're looking at an OGN and OB type of player. 6'8", athletic, strong, can really defend, but can also knock down a corner 3 and attack a closeout at a very high level. So that is it. Those are my 10 takes for the upcoming NBA draft, which starts next week. Cam Boozer is going to be the best player. Darius Acuff, I still have questions about despite the offensive talent. Keaton Wagler's the best point guard in the draft. Darren Peterson's going to be a really good NBA player. AJ DeBonsa is going to go number 1. Caleb Wilson is going to have a really cool highlight reel. He could be this generation's Jason Williams. White chocolate. You get on X and you randomly see this 2-minute video where it's like, white chocolate was a problem. But if you actually watched White Chocolate play in the NBA, you know that he had a lot of flaws in his game. Like, he couldn't shoot. Kind of important. But anyway, we're going to see a point guard that should go in the top 10 fall outside of the top 12. Malik Thomas, best late first rounder. He's the best late first rounder in this draft. Adai Mara is going to go too high. And Dalen Swain, that's the guy nobody's talking about that I personally really like. Chris, do you have any NBA draft takes for us?
Not at the moment.
Not at the moment.
What kind of draft are we going to do next week? What do you want to draft? The draft starts on Tuesday, so maybe think about it.
Yeah, draft's on Tuesday next week. We could do are we going to do 1 or 2 days of drafts? Because the draft is 2 days now in the NBA for some reason.
Okay. Let's get some ideas in the YouTube chat. What do you guys want to draft next week?
We should. I'm trying to think. What have we done? I've got some of them written down, but not all of them. Let me look here.
Yeah, we'll have to review. I think we did.
We drafted Madden cover athletes.
Right.
We drafted.
We did moments that reminded us of Memorial Day weekend, I think.
Yeah. Here, wait, what am I doing? It's all in here. Here we go. Woo. Never mind. The word draft is in here 274 times. I don't know if this is the best way for me to figure out.
Do better.
Everything. Yeah, I mean, honestly, I don't know if we're talking about the draft enough. If it's only in 200 and, only pops up 274 times in this running show document that we have. Oh, man. That's funny. All right. Holiday World should be on the top of your mind right now. It's a great time. We're giving away 2 tickets. I hope Otter Creek's listening. He called in a little late yesterday. So, Otter Creek, now's your opportunity to redeem yourself. Only one trivia question today. I'm very intrigued to see if anybody gets it right. And I will reveal what that question is at 1 o'clock. But first, Chris, if you want to grab the phone real quick and put them on hold, I can talk for another 30 seconds while you do that.
You can do the sports update.
I don't have any notes on the sports update.
Ready, set, go.
Are you serious? Okay.
Go.
What's going on in sports right now here on The Real Jonathan Smith Show? Tonight, we have the Indiana Fever hosting the new WNBA expansion team, Toronto. I was not prepared to do this, so I don't know their nickname, but that is tonight.
It's a tempo.
The Indiana Fever are 7.5-point favorites. Go ahead and jump on that line. Why not? We got a full slate of World Cup games today. France versus Senegal at 3 o'clock. Iraq versus Norway at 6. And then Argentina plays Algeria at 9 p.m. to close out the evening. Team USA getting ready to take the pitch on Friday. I will now throw it to producer Chris, who knows a little bit more about what's going on in sports right now.
Good job, man. Well done. What did you already talk about? The Fever?
Fever and the World Cup slate for today.
Okay, very good. So the Pacers are hosting their 6th and final pre-draft workout session today before turning their full focus to undrafted free agency. Indiana could act as a salary cap facilitator to acquire future draft assets, while Giannis pushes for a trade to Boston or Miami. We could get involved in that somehow. Also, Anthony Richardson and former Colt Michael Pittman Jr. plan to host a private player-led passing camp in Florida early next month to keep the first team offense in rhythm before training camp opens next month, whatever. So I don't know if they're teaming up, but we'll follow that as we get more information on it. Could be fake news. I don't know. We'll find out. But Holiday World tickets after the break on The Real Jonathan Smith Show on Indy Sports Ticket, 1430.
Jonathan Smith Show on Indy Sports Ticket, 1430 AM, 93.9 HD2, and always on the free Indy Sports Ticket app.
In 20 minutes, we will have Kevin Potts from the Kevin Potts NFL and NFL Draft Breakdown Substack. He'll join the show. We'll talk about Brendan Sorsby, his, and kind of how he looks as an NFL prospect. Should the Colts pursue? We'll get into all that. What's up?
Did you see Chris? Ross in the chat said we should do a candy draft.
Like our favorite candy or the worst candy?
Maybe both.
Okay.
We'll do the best on the first day and the worst. I don't know.
Okay.
All
we can work through it. That works. That works. But right now, we are joined by Otter Creek calling in to win a couple of tickets to Holiday World. OC, what's going on, man? How are you?
What's up, Jonathan? What's up, Chris?
What's happening?
What's going on, man? Haven't heard from you in a while. Well, in terms of you calling in, you're pretty active on YouTube, which we always appreciate.
Yeah, I'm not a great caller, so I try to stick with my strengths.
That's fine. Once the Colts season starts, though, that'll change. All right.
That's right.
So I lied, OC. We're gonna do 3 questions today for trivia, all about the NFL supplemental draft. Are you ready?
Oof. Let's give it a try.
Okay. So since the NFL supplemental draft was established in 1977, how many players have been selected in the supplemental draft?
Let's try 15.
46.
Oh.
That buzzer is brutal.
Dude, that was
Chris.
loud that time.
That
Sorry.
was loud, man. Jeez. All right, all good. Of those 46 players, how many of them went on to be inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame?
Ooh. 3.
Close. 1.
Okay.
That buzzer's brutal. Who is the one player? I'll give you a hint. He played for the Vikings.
Since 77, you said?
Yes, he was. This player was selected in 1987.
How about Jonathan Randall?
Close. It is Chris Carter, which is surprising.
Ooh.
That's
a little early for Randall.
Yeah, I guess it is. But hey, 0 for 3, that's all right. Good hitters have bad days at the plate sometimes. Don't worry about it.
That was some tough trivia.
Yeah, it's kind of become a staple. The trivia on the show, for some reason, just always has to be tough. Which I think
would
is
have been good on the hockey one. I knew a lot of the hockey stuff.
Yeah, the hockey one, I didn't know any of it until I made the trivia.
Yeah, just for note, it's Hall of Famer Mark Messier, not Mark Messier.
Okay, my bad. My bad. Name pronunciation, not a strength on the show.
Not for you.
It's something I've really struggled with.
Just think French. When you see a lot of those names, think French.
Okay. I found out this morning I've been pronouncing like everybody's name on the U.S. men's national team incorrectly, which was...
Oh, that's a little more excusable.
Yeah, it is. So, all right, OC, what are you thinking from the Colts this year?
About the same season as normal, maybe a little worse, because I know you're optimistic about the defense, but I think it got worse. They lost so many key players. Not that any of them were great, but they were an integral part of what they were doing.
Yeah, I mean, you have to like the secondary more, no? Just like with everything we've heard from Halsey, everyone seems to really like Wally. Sauce Gardner's obviously a really good player.
I think it's kind of wait and see, and plus it's hard for a secondary to be good when the front seven isn't good, but you never know. I was surprised by the start last year. We'll see what happens.
We will. Do you want Brendan Sorsby?
Yeah, why not? I like shiny new toys, always.
Hey, I'm with you. All right, OC. Hold on the line. We'll have Chris grab your information, and we'll get those tickets over to you, okay?
Appreciate it, Jonathan.
You got it, OC. Big shout out to the Misfit Otter Creek for calling in there, talking about a little bit of Colts there to close it, and talked a little bit of U.S. men's national team. I struggle to say the names. It's true. It's just, part of it too with all these U.S. men's national teams guys. A lot of them have dual citizenship, so they can play for Team USA or some other country. And, I'm glad that they chose to play for us, obviously, because we're pretty good this year. But so we'll, it'll get better as time goes on. But speaking of the World Cup, we're doing a match of the day every day for the World Cup. And after that, we'll get to Chris's 2 minutes on his point of view of what he has learned from, watching the World Cup. So today, our match of the day is France versus Senegal. Okay. This game kicks off at 3 p.m. And, France is my pick to win the World Cup. 3 o'clock against Senegal. Senegal is very similar to the U.S. men's national team in terms of like FIFA ranking. Like, if I remember correctly, I think Senegal's 18th. Team USA is 17th. They played a friendly a couple of weeks ago. Team USA won 3-2. So very similar compared to Team USA. Like, they're a good team, but not a great team. They're led by Sadio Mane, who used to be a great player, a great forward for Liverpool, but he got old. He's 34 now. Now he plays in Saudi Arabia. Couldn't stay away from that Saudi money. France is minus 210 to win the match. They have a clearly better team, and I can't wait to see how they look today. They have a relentless attack led by maybe the best player in the world in Kylian Mbappe. Trying to stop Mbappe when France is in full transition, it's like trying to stop a runaway freight train with a traffic cone. Senegal can set up all the defensive structure that they want. But if he gets out in the open field, he's just going to blow right through it. Okay, France should win. The over-under goal amount is set at 2.5. But Spain should have won yesterday, and they couldn't generate any goals. So this is the best match of the day. The other two are intriguing. Iraq versus Norway. Norway has maybe the most prolific goal scorer in the tournament with Holland. Imagine if Derrick Henry was big, white, and played soccer. That is Holland. He's a monster. Okay. And then you got Argentina playing against Algeria. Argentina, obviously, your defending World Cup champions, winning it last time through, beating France, if I remember correctly. So that is your match of the day. And Chris, if you're ready.
What are we doing?
Your 2 minute point of view.
Oh, 2 minutes.
2 minutes.
That's all I got.
It's a long time.
Better get yours.
Hey, man, you got quite the amount of endurance if you can go for 2 minutes.
Yeah.
It's impressive.
All right. Well, I think we can make 2 minutes out of that.
Okay.
So here's a few things I learned yesterday, continuing to get into soccer. It's not as many as I had yesterday, but just the things that roll through my head as I'm watching, right?
Roll through your head. That was good. Yeah. Nice little soccer pun.
Okay. I thought you were going somewhere else.
Nope.
All right. Anyway, so I don't know if you saw the video on X or social media. There was a storm in one of the countries or cities or something, and a giant soccer ball was blowing through the traffic or whatever.
Yeah.
And it made me think, why are we not doing real life Rocket League, like with the cars?
Yeah, I know what Rocket League is. Yeah.
I think they maybe do it somewhere, but anyway, that should happen. Let's do that.
I've seen people play on motorcycles.
Okay.
And they'll use their feet though. It's really cool to watch.
If the World Cup had cars chasing a giant ball, I'd probably watch that for sure.
That's fair.
Absolutely. So I also realized that when the game is over, that's when clothes start coming off, because the game that we watched yesterday, as soon as the game was done or they tied or whatever it was, then we're exchanging jerseys. Everybody's the whole team was like, yep, I'm done with these clothes, and everything comes off.
Not everything. Shirts come off.
A lot comes off. We learned that yesterday was only the second time in World Cup history that there were 4 draws in the same day, and that's not super entertaining to me, a draw.
What's wrong with the draw?
Because it's like a tie, right?
It is.
So,
you don't think ties in the NFL are entertaining? Where it's like,
no, not really.
There's 2 minutes left in overtime.
No,
they have the ball. They have to march the length of the field.
No, if we had 4 NFL games tie in the same day, that would not be cool. I don't think.
Okay, fair enough.
But you would like it.
Yeah, I think part of what makes sports so fun is the drama late in games when it's close. You can't get any closer than it being tied. And you look up at the clock and you've got 3 minutes to score a goal when you've scored one in the last 90. Like that's, I think that's pretty dramatic.
I get it. I mean, I like overtime. I like the sudden death, but would rather have a winner.
That's fair.
But
I do agree with that. I would rather have a winner.
The crowd at these games does not get kicked out of the stadium for throwing giant paper circles. I don't know if you saw that, but they were kind of like paper frisbees or something, and like literally everybody was throwing them up. And like if that would to happen here at a normal game, I feel like people would get kicked out.
Yeah, you know who wouldn't do that? The Japanese, because they're like, if we throw that, we're gonna have to pick it up later.
That's correct.
I don't want to do it.
That's another thing I learned about soccer yesterday. Japanese fans were super excited to bring their own trash bags into the games into the game to help clean up afterwards.
That's so sick.
Like, can we do that?
No,
probably not.
No, sorry.
Just clean up around
Guy
us.
in a Quentin Nelson jersey tucked into his jorts with the braided belts, not doing that.
Why is it got to be a braided belt? That's funny. A few other things I learned just from watching soccer that I don't normally watch is that I'm more interested in the hotties in the crowd than the game. Because like these countries, they've got some real hotties and they stand out in the crowd, and the cameraman knows how to find them.
Hey, that is, I don't know if you heard Dan say this or not, but like that's one of the things that they do. They're like, where are the hot people? We got to put it on them.
Yeah, we can definitely do more of that for some more viewership of soccer.
So if you've never been on TV, just ask yourself, why have I never been on TV?
Fair enough. I see what you did there. Last thing I have is that outside the stadium in Seattle, they had a drone scoreboard, and I think that should be normalized.
What do you mean?
Like,
I missed that.
Seattle, during the whatever game they were hosting World Cup-wise, they had a drone show outside. It was telling them stuff, but it was also, they formed it in the shape of a scoreboard, and they were showing the score to the people outside the stadium.
Gotcha.
I'm like, dude, we should do that here. Like for football games or whatever,
That'd be
like
sick.
tailgating or, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
That's all I got.
That's awesome. Yeah. That's good. No. I was like 4 minutes.
I need you to.
But we got a beast over here. Watch out.
Yeah. So was it Best Effort Tuesday?
Yeah, that's exactly what today is. Best Effort Tuesday. We got a 4-minute World Cup update from Chris. That was only supposed to be 2 minutes.
I didn't know you were timing me.
Nice.
Just enjoy the show. Quit timing me.
Hey, ring the bell. That was good. Oh, that's funny. Have you figured out how to bet it yet? You mentioned that yesterday. You said that if you can figure it out, you'd place a couple bets.
Yeah, because I want to know what I'm betting on. I've got
For sure.
DraftKings and stuff like that, but MGM or whatever. And it's pretty simple. Like I know over-unders and whatever. But I don't understand the game enough yet to understand where, you know what I mean, other than the score. Like, there could be some technicalities or whatever, but I don't know what that means. And so I don't want to bet on something I don't know what I'm putting money towards.
So I think fouls are obvious. I think that's a simple concept to grasp.
It's the yellow cards.
Not always.
Okay. See,
sometimes.
what I mean?
So usually a yellow card is given out. Like, do you know what the clear path foul is in the NBA? It's like a breakaway. A guy is clearly going to get a layup, and so someone just reaches out and grabs him.
Okay.
So that he doesn't get the layup. Not all, but a lot of yellow cards are like that, where it's like they're clearly fouling because they're at a disadvantage and they don't want to give up a goal. Okay,
like intentional.
Yes,
Okay.
Exactly. Red cards are flagrant fouls. Okay.
Yeah.
And then you have like normal fouls, like you go to make a tackle, but you miss the ball and you accidentally trip the guy. That's a normal foul. You have a free kick from that spot. Okay. So that's how that works. If you commit a foul inside the box, do you know what I mean when I say the box?
I do.
Okay.
I do now.
If you commit a foul, if you commit any foul, red card, yellow card, whatever, inside the box, you get a penalty kick.
Okay.
So that's why like a lot of guys will flop, kind of like in the NBA, when they get in the paint, they flop, hoping to shoot free throws. Same idea.
So I'm going to bet on flopping in the box.
I don't think you can bet on that. Yeah. So you can do that. And then Do you understand offsides? Because that pops up probably more than anything else.
That was another thing that kind of confused me.
Okay.
But like, I know it's like they have a wide field. It's kind of like football, the 50-yard line, yada, yada. But like whenever they were going back, I was like,
do you know how offsides works in hockey?
no.
Okay. So whenever the ball is passed, if the offensive player is further down the field than the furthest defensive player, they can't be the first person to touch the ball.
Got it. Okay.
Okay. So you have to be in front of the defender. Because, like, obviously, if you could just run past them, then you would just bomb passes over the top, and a lot of goals and like too many goals would be scored.
Okay.
So you have to be behind them. That's how offsides works.
I think if there's another live game this week during the show, then like maybe I'll place a couple bets and then you'll tell me if it's a dumb bet or not.
Okay. Right. That's cool. Good. So that's, yeah. And then outside of that, like from there, like that's it. Like that's really all that you need to know. Offsides, fouls, and then everything else is pretty simple.
Cool.
So there you go. All right. There's your World Cup update from Chris's point of view. Kevin Potts is already in the StreamYard. He is joining us in the next segment to talk about Brendan Sorsby as an NFL prospect. We'll do that in 3 minutes.
The best takes. Maybe. The Real Jonathan Smith Show on Indy Sports Ticket 1430 AM, 93.9 HD2, and always on the free Indy Sports Ticket app.
Brendan Sorsby has declared for the NFL supplemental draft, making everybody's college football lives so much easier. Welcome into the Real Jonathan Smith Show here on Indy's Sports Ticket. Thanks for tuning in, no matter how you're tuning in, whether that's YouTube, X, the Indy Sports Ticket app, or 1430 AM. Now bringing in the one and only Kevin Potts from the Kevin Potts NFL and NFL Draft Breakdown Substack to talk about Brendan Sorsby. First and foremost, how are you, and how relieved are you to have this like fresh new piece of content in the middle of June when nothing's going on?
I'm good, and I'm excited for this. Obviously it's a sticky situation with some of the legal stuff, but as a draft person, I've never gotten to do a supplemental draft, and certainly not for a player of this caliber and this much in the public eye. So it's going to be very interesting to see how it all breaks down.
Would you like to try to guess our NFL supplemental draft trivia questions for today?
Sure, yeah.
How many players have been taken in the supplemental draft?
Oh, like all time?
All time. It became a thing in 1977.
11?
Our guest, our guy earlier guessed 15, is 46, which is a lot. I know. Only one of the, or how many? I just said the answer. Gosh dang it. How many of them went on to become Hall of Famers of the 46?
46?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, it's the old ones that are tough. My guess would be 0 because I can't think of anything recently, but I'm sure there's some older ones. I'm not one.
There's one. Do you want to guess who it is? He was taken in 1987, and he played for the Vikings.
1987. I don't know if I have Vikings tribute back to the 80s.
Played wide receiver.
Chris Carter?
There it is.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
There it is.
At least
All
get
right.
that one.
There it is. We got one, joined by Kevin Potts, who does a great job covering the NFL draft, or in this case, the NFL supplemental draft. I know you said you had been going over quarterbacks for next year's draft class, so I'm assuming you've watched Sorsby.
Mm-hmm.
What were kind of your early thoughts on him?
I think the first thing that jumps off the page for him is the tools. That's what you're going to hear a lot about, I think, heading into this thing. He's got really good size, pushing 235. He's 6'3". He has a really nice arm. He's not just able to drive the ball. It's very flexible. He's an athletic thrower. He can throw off a bunch of platforms. If you force him outside the pocket, he can make plays. And you combine that, he's a really excellent athlete. Not only is he a good scrambler, not only can he create, which led to some really good numbers in terms of preventing sacks last year, he's also able to be used as a design runner. He's on cue power, option, all these different types of things because he has the frame to stand up to taking hits at the college and now NFL level with that size and athleticism. Unfortunately for him, I think he really needed another year in college. He is a talented player, but there is still a lot of work to go when it comes to, I guess, the true quarterbacking part of it. I think mechanics can get pretty sloppy anytime he's moved off of his spot. He is your classic college quarterback that's going to go through his first two reads. If they're not there, he's going to tuck and run. He's going to use that athleticism, that size to go make a play. And I think he needed another year to prove he can do the NFL offensive stuff, go through progressions, make those anticipatory throws over the tight windows of the field. So with him heading the NFL, he's going to probably need a redshirt year because while he is talented and why you're going to see first, second round kind of talk with him, he still has a long way to go in terms of the actual quarterbacking to step foot on the field, which is why I view him more as a fringe day 3 prospect if he would be eligible in this past year's draft.
Okay, that's interesting. So the interesting thing about the supplemental draft, it happens after mandatory minicamp, it happens after rookie camp, it happens after OTAs. So you talk about him needing a redshirt year. It might be good for him then that he's coming out in the supplemental draft because he's not there for the start, and it's going to be hard for him to catch up. Is that right?
Yeah, I think that's true, and I think the suspension aspect of it is also Paul's ability. When Terrell Pryor was in the supplemental draft, he ended up serving the same 5-game suspension that Ohio State would have handed down at the NFL level, which would be a problem, I think, if you're expecting Sorsby to play and be your quarterback next year. But since he does need that redshirt year, he's probably going to miss mini camps. Maybe there's a suspension. I think no matter who takes him, what the situation is, he ends up getting basically that gap year where he's working as your backup, which he needs, and it might make it easier for some of these teams for that decision to kind of already be made for them, and they don't really have to worry about him starting for all the variety of reasons that we just talked about.
Joined by Kevin Potts, writer of the Kevin Potts NFL and NFL Draft Breakdown Substack, talking about Brendan Sorsby. So the interesting thing about the supplemental draft this year and Sorsby being available is all of the teams that are looking at quarterbacks next year, for the majority of them, they're all set up to be bad and like have a chance at Dante Moore or Arch Manning or, whoever you think is the best quarterback next year. And then you have teams like the Colts that don't have a first-round pick next year. What are the kind of teams that might be willing to bid a pick for a guy like Sorsby?
I think you're going to get a lot of teams to do some sort of bid. Now, what type of bid is that? Is it a serious one? I'm not so sure. I think the obviously popular names, the Browns and the Jets, are going to be the two big ones because they really didn't invest much in quarterback in this past year's draft. Obviously, they're bad. They need some new ones. I would push back a little bit on it, especially using a valuable pick, because I think both those teams are set up to go enter next year's really big quarterback class. And for those who don't know, if you use the pick in the supplemental draft, you lose that pick in the next draft, and it's supposed to be an excellent draft. For teams like the Colts, I think the Steelers, maybe they took Drew Aller, so it's a little tougher. Teams that are not expecting whatever quarterback they take to really start this next year, which we just talked about, Sorsby's not going to be involved in that, are actually teams I like it for more. A second-round pick is too early for me for any team. But I think a team like the Colts specifically that has a Daniel Jones kind of set up, you don't have to have Sorsby go and play. And you mentioned a first-round pick. You have no pathway to go get involved in the Arch or the Dante Moore sweepstakes like the Jets and the Browns do. I think it's a little bit more palatable taking that risk and taking a swing on a quarterback with Sorsby's talent, because your avenues to get one are far less than some of these teams that are projected to be bad will.
Joined by Kevin Potts, writer of the Kevin Potts NFL and NFL Draft Breakdown Substack, talking about Brendan Sorsby and the now upcoming NFL supplemental draft. I wonder if Roger Goodell's going to shake his hand. I don't know. We'll see. And I think one of the things that's really going to work in his favor is the fact that he's probably going to sit because he's coming in so late. Because I compared him to Tiger Woods the first time that Tiger got in trouble. He was like, yeah, I'm a sex addict. And then he just disappeared for a prolonged amount of time and everyone forgot. And then he came back and everyone's like, oh, Tiger, the Masters are so much better now. And I think Brendan Sorsby is going to have kind of that same advantage of wherever he ends up, probably going to sit for a year. And then they won't completely forget. But when he does come back, I don't think that the questions will be nearly as harsh as they were at Tech. Do you have any thoughts on what this does for Texas Tech and their season? Are you excited about Will Hammond? I liked him in the games that he played last year. Have you thought about him at all in all this?
Yeah, I think he's fine. I don't think this is going to drastically change Texas Tech's outlook because, I do like Sorsby and he's probably better than Hammond. He's still, like we just talked about, is an imperfect quarterback at both the college and the pro level. And I think a lot of Texas Tech's strengths actually come on the defensive side of the ball. Even if you look at that team last year, it wasn't this consistent, highly powered offense. I didn't expect it to be this year. I think for Texas Tech, more of the bad part was we could have skipped all of the publicity over the past month. When the betting stuff came out, Sorsby could have just declared for the supplemental draft. Like you said, everyone would have forgotten a year. Texas Tech didn't have to do this whole grandstanding thing for him. I think on the field, it's probably not going to change the whole ton. Maybe it lowers their ceiling just because of we talk about Sorsby with these NFL level tools, we just naturally have a higher ceiling. But I think just as long as they can handle distractions, I still think this is going to be a very good team because they have a lot of really good defensive players. And it's probably look a lot like they did last year, assuming everything goes right and this isn't too disruptive.
I want to throw you a question that we talked about on the air the other day. I'm assuming you saw, I don't know if you watched the whole thing. I know I didn't. The 22-minute explanation from Tech. If you did something wrong and your mom caught you and you tried to explain to her for 22 minutes why what you did was okay, at what point would she stop you and be like, you're grounded or go to your room or whatever? How long would it take? Mine, 15 seconds, maybe.
About the same amount of time it took me to close that video. So like 30 seconds.
Okay.
I don't think my mom didn't want to hear it, just like we probably didn't want to hear it from Texas Tech. Just
not at all.
Let's just move on. We all know something bad happened. Admit it. Put out your little press release. We don't need the full Netflix production explaining what happened here.
We don't. Back to Sorsby. Is there an NFL team systematically, head coach wise, you think that they would be a good fit for him?
I actually do think that Steichen is one of the better options because I think this is a player who is very similar to a guy like Jackson Dart or he worked with Jalen Hurts, Anthony Richardson a little bit too, where it is this physically talented player who has some accuracy issues, has some processing issues, but you really see the flashes. And when you'd like to put him in a system that's going to let him use his legs, make it easier on him as he grows into those other aspects of his game. Not too similar to Daniel Jones when he was first coming out as a rookie and a young player. So I do think this is a good spot. I mentioned Pittsburgh earlier. I just think McCarthy does a fantastic job with working on quarterbacks. I also think Arizona would make sense. LaFleur's done a fantastic job at multiple spots. In my opinion, I think he's gotten scapegoated when he was New York. But both Arizona and the Steelers have picked up quarterbacks. So that it might end up being a situation where the Colts are the best spot and it makes the most sense for them to bid.
Okay. If I wanted to fall in love with Brendan Sorsby and like lead the bandwagon, what is the game that I need to go back and watch where he just looks like he could be an absolute stud?
Oklahoma State was one of the ones where he was a really fantastic as a rusher. He rusher and a passer. He had like close to 450 all-purpose yards, multiple touchdowns. I thought there were some really nice moments against Kansas early in the year. That was around week 4, where you really see that creation, that ability to extend plays and make chunk plays out of nothing. The one, if you're a little out on Utah, would be the one. That's a very well put together defense that fooled him on a variety of times. But it scales pretty strong to the type of opponent he plays. If they play a simple defense and he can overwhelm athletically, it's probably going to look good. They had some out-of-conference games against Bowling Green where he looks fantastic. When you start playing those better teams that do more complicated stuff, that's where it becomes a little bit more inconsistent.
Okay. Do you have last thing for you, Kevin, and I'll let you go. Earlier in the show, with the NBA draft being a week away, I did 10 takes on it. I have like a guilty pleasure player that I'm just like, yeah, Dalen Swain. Love that guy way more than I should. As you get ready for next year's draft, is there a guy who's kind of emerged in that department for you quite yet?
Yeah, for me, I don't even love him as a prospect, but I just purely enjoy watching Trey'Dez Green, the tight end for LSU. He's 6'7". He is a ginormous human being. He is a power forward in every sense of the word. All his productions mostly comes in the red zone, back shoulder fades, boxing guys out. Just truly looks different on the field, and he's one of those players. Sometimes when you're watching film, it's hard to find the guy you're watching. Not an issue with Green. His issues are going to be he's tall, he's thin. It's going to be an issue for him to block pretty much regardless of how big he gets because he's so tall. But if you're talking about these mismatch rotational weapons, especially at the college level where blocking for a tight end is really far less important than what he is as a pro prospect, he's a player I'm super excited to watch for, especially with Levitt coming in at LSU, who is an imperfect player himself, but he'll throw the ball up to you. And I'm assuming he's going to love to throw up the 6'7" target in all the scrambles he gets involved in.
So he's Darnell Washington, but he doesn't weigh 300 pounds.
There is one Darnell Washington. I don't think we'll ever see the repeat on that. Yes, if you put him on Ozempic and added a couple seconds off of his 40 time, then you got Green.
Okay, sounds good. Kevin, thanks for your time as always. Sorsby to Indy would be great. We'll see if Chris Ballard is willing to do it or not, though. It's interesting. Thanks for your time. What are you working on right now? Any articles or anything coming out on the Substack?
Yeah, we'll have offensive line ratings coming out most of the way through tackles, and now we're working on some of these interior guys. So hopefully get a top 15 or so of the offensive linemen to look forward to, hopefully before the 4th.
Okay, sounds good. Kevin, thanks for your time, man.
Yeah, of course. Always a pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. That is Kevin Potts. You can check out his Substack, Kevin Potts in the NFL and the Kevin Potts NFL and NFL draft breakdowns. Does a great job covering the league and does a lot of draft stuff. And he's like, if you want to know about a player, he writes up all of these profiles. So if you have questions, go there. He does a great job. All right. We got Jared Dubin joining the show at 2:00. We will talk about the Knicks winning the finals. He lives in New York. Very excited to hear if his car got vandalized or anything like that. But the Colts need edge rusher help. Jadeveon Clowney might be who they turn to. I'll tell you why. That's the equivalent of buying a used sports car that's had 6 different owners in the last 7 years in 3 minutes.
If it's in today's sports world, it's here. The real Jonathan Smith Show on Indy Sports Ticket 1430 AM, 93.9 HD2, and always on the free Indy Sports Ticket app.
YouTube chat, we are requesting your assistance. Does this camera look better or worse than the other one? Please let us know. Also, if you're watching on X, you can let us know there as well. The Indianapolis Colts, not only do they need to, go pick up Brendan Sorsby in this year's NFL supplemental draft, but I would also like it if they figured out a way to add another edge rusher, because it's still a major issue. Welcome into the real Jonathan Smith Show here on Indy's Sports Ticket. Thanks for tuning in. No matter how you're tuning in, YouTube, Indy Sports Ticket. If you want to head over there and subscribe, you can watch the show on X __ Jonathan Smith to follow me there and watch the show there. You can also listen on the Indy Sports Ticket app, which you can download wherever you find your apps, and of course 1430 AM as well if you're driving around the Indianapolis area. So when you look at the Colts this upcoming year, their biggest problem has been very well advertised. Okay. They have to have help out on the edge. Okay. The edge rushing room is brutal. And because of that, we're going to talk about the edge rushing room more than any other thing for the Colts during the offseason. When training camp rolls around, that group of players is going to be under a microscope. We are going to pay attention to that more than probably anything else, because I think we have a decent idea of what the rest of the Colts are going to look like. And, the edge rushing room is by far the biggest question. Right now, this pass rush, it's like a house with a gorgeous interior, but the front door is wide open and the lock's broken. It doesn't matter how nice the furniture is inside if anyone can just walk right in. It doesn't matter how good Sauce Gardner and Javarius Ward and these safeties cover if no pressure is generated on the quarterback. And, we had Jake Arthur on yesterday. He talked about how Jadeveon Clowney, if they were to go sign an edge, is the one that he would expect for the Colts to go sign. Look, there will still be plenty of concern, but, if the Colts went and added a guy in Clowney, I think we'd all feel a little bit better, right? With that being said, I don't like the idea of betting on a guy who's played on 6 teams in the last 7 years and has never had a single season with double-digit sacks. Signing Clowney at this stage is like buying a used sports car that's, been owned by 6 different owners in the last 7 years. It looks flashy in the driveway, but you never know if it's actually going to hit top speed again. Who would have thought that, by the way? Jadeveon Clowney has never had a season with double-digit sacks. That's insane, given how good he was at South Carolina. To be fair, though, the hype was never higher when he knocked the helmet off of that Michigan running back. Insane stuff. But the only way the Colts could get me to stop talking about this is if they made a trade for an edge rusher that immediately lifts the room. Maybe that's Kayvon Thibodeau. Maybe it's Josh Sweat. I don't think that they're going to get either one because they already don't have a first-round pick next year, and I don't think that they want to lose any more top 100 picks for an edge rusher. So that means Calvary is not coming. So the Colts better develop these guys, or they're going to struggle to get after the quarterback this year. There has been some talk that with DeForest Buckner being an older player, that he'll be on the edge more this year. I don't know if they're going to be able to do that a ton just because of how often they rotate defensive tackles and nose guards. Like Colby Wooden's a good player, but they rotate those guys so often, and I just don't think that the Colts really have the depth at nose guard or defensive tackle to be able to play Buckner out wide a ton. I also don't know if he's that kind of a pass rusher. When people way smarter than me talk about edge rushers, they talk about bend, talk about ankle flexion, right? Like Von Miller's the best example of this. Like he was able to get so low to the ground and stay on his feet because his ankles were incredibly bendy. Okay, that's not normally something defensive tackles have a ton of just because of the way that they rush the passer. It's just very different than an edge rusher. I mean, asking a massive defensive tackle like Buckner to consistently bend around the edge is like asking a commercial semi-truck driver to drift around a tight corner on a racetrack. It's just not what the chassis was built to do. With that being said, we have seen some defensive tackles find a way, to be successful rushing on the edge. Chris Jones rushes the passer just fine, both inside and out. Cam Hayward did it forever has done it forever for Pittsburgh. So we'll see if Buckner could be impactful on the edge or not, if he is in fact given that opportunity. If he can, that'd be big for the Colts. On passing downs, you could put him and Latu on the edges. And on the interior, you could play Colby Wooden and Adetomiwa Adebawore. And that's a solid, obvious passing down grouping in terms of a front four who can, get after the passer a little bit. Okay, the problem is going to be all the other downs. If I played the Colts, I would throw the football on non-passing downs a lot because they're going to struggle to generate pressure on those downs. It's going to be a real problem for the Colts. I think that the run defense is going to be good because they're so strong up the middle. Jake Arthur joined the show yesterday, and he said that during minicamp, Arden Key was getting the majority of the reps with the ones over to Imolawau. They weren't even splitting reps. It was mainly Arden Key, and he wasn't brought in to be the starter for the Indianapolis Colts. He's going to be 30 this year, and he's never had an outstanding year. He has 30.5 sacks in 8 seasons. 8 seasons. Just, not very good. That's less than 4 sacks a year. It's 3.8. That's not very good. Okay, the 1 year that he started 15 games in, he had 6.5 sacks. That's just not enough production from your starting edge rusher. Also, if they're starting that guy over Tui Molawau, go ahead and label Tui Molawau as a bust. If he can't beat out Arden Key to be the starter, then this could be Chris Ballard's biggest whiff at edge rusher. Can't start over a 30-year-old who averages less than 4 sacks a year. Might be time to go sell insurance or something. You can't beat that guy out. And I don't think this is really a coaching thing either. Like, sometimes players wind up in the wrong system and then, they get released and they go somewhere else and all of a sudden they're really good. That happens sometimes. Lou Anarumo is the kind of defensive coordinator that can shift his, defense to fit personnel. And Tui Molawau still didn't play last year. And that's with Leatu Latu missing a game. That's with Samson Ebukam missing 3 games. That's with Taekwon Lewis missing 4 games. And Tui Molawau still hardly saw the field. Not great. The Colts have built a nice back 7 on their defense, and I think that this front 4 has the potential to ruin everything, though. Like, they have to find some sort of a solution to generating pressure if they're going to beat the better teams on their schedule this year. Because that's how you beat all of the good quarterbacks. Like, if you blitz Patrick Mahomes, if you blitz Joe Burrow or Lamar Jackson or Dak Prescott and the other good quarterbacks on the Colts schedule, then they're going to tear you to shreds. Blitzing those guys without just like a natural, normal 4-man rush is like trying to put out a warehouse fire with a squirt gun. You're just going to get burned faster. You're just going to look up and see Rashee Rice scoring a touchdown. That's seriously, that's what it's going to be, and that's why it's going to be really hard to bet on the Colts winning a lot of games this year. Like, they don't have great quarterback play, and they don't have the ability to rush the passer. Like, you have to have both of those things if you want to be a playoff team. And the Colts have average quarterback play at best and a bad pass rush at best. And that's just a losing recipe, and it doesn't seem like they have really any way to overcome that. Okay, you can have great receivers, you can have great corners, you can have great running backs, all you want. But it doesn't matter if you can't rush the quarterback and if you have an average level quarterback. So the Colts, we're looking at more 7-10 or 8-9. One of my buddies was at a wedding with a Colts player over the weekend, and he was like, "Yeah." He asked the Colts player, "How many games do you think that you guys are going to win this year?" And he said 11 or 12. And I just, yeah, I mean, no way. Maybe in his dreams, maybe.
You'll have a better chance of going to more weddings in a year than the Colts wins.
I have. I went to 12, or was it 10? I went to 10 in 2023.
I believe it.
The year of love.
Apparently,
I don't have any weddings for a while that I'm aware of.
Better knock on wood.
Hey, man. I mean, when I look at my friend group, there's only like 3 or 4 people left to get married.
Hey, you guys like to get married. Like,
Yep.
all right, let's not get married next weekend because John and Susie's getting married that weekend. We'll get married the following weekend. Am I meeting any unmarried people when we go line dancing next week?
Yeah, you'll meet. I don't want to like put their business out there, but yeah, there's
Yeah, you don't have to say
they're
their name.
absolutely
It's
yeah.
just-
You'll meet. I'm trying to think.
Because I am not married. I like to hang out with unmarried people sometimes.
Fair.
Because I don't like to feel like the third wheel.
Yeah, I know. There's one girl that'll be there. That's not married. I'd be very surprised if she wasn't there. There's a guy who will be there who's not. Yeah, you'll meet some. You'll meet some.
Cool.
And some of them are actively single as well. Because like obviously I have friends that are dating people but not married. Like I've got friends that are actively single. So not this Wednesday, but next. Chris.
Yeah, next Wednesday.
Showing up to line dancing.
We decided next Wednesday because Thursday is a long day for me as we have one of our sister stations promo at a concert. So Thursday is going to be a super long day. And yeah.
You'll be here for the show though, right?
Yeah, Thursday. Yeah. As soon as I'm done here, then it's up to Ruoff.
That's right. And then you can sleep in on Friday.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
Sleep in a little bit. It'll be good. All right. Jared Dubin, speaking of good, he's a big basketball guy. He is a Knicks fan. He is not an obnoxious Knicks fan, though, which is really nice. He's going to join the show at 2 o'clock. We'll talk about the series. I want to know about the city. I want to know, like, I get it. New York's the city that never sleeps. The one time I was there was stuff going on outside our window the entire time. But I would like to know at what time the noise subsided. Was it noon on Sunday? Like, when did people calm down? Have people calm down? We are going to talk to Jared Dubin from last night in basketball.com. Going to be an absolute blast. But first, we're going to throw it over to producer Chris with your sports update.
I would assume New York's always noisy, though.
Yeah, it is. But, it went to another level.
Right. Yeah. And also, since we're doing the line dancing thing, maybe I can pull you into the concert on Thursday. You ready to go see Godsmack and Stone Temple Pilots?
Nope. Thursday after the show, I'm leaving immediately.
Oh, yeah, that's right. He's going.
Okay.
Okay. Anyway, here's what's happening this hour, or trending this hour in sports. The Pacers are hosting their sixth and final. Actually, they did host their sixth and final pre-draft workout session today before turning their full focus to undrafted free agency. The team is still closely linked to a potential trade for New Orleans swing Trey Murphy. Pacers have no picks in next week's draft. Indiana Fever look to get their 4th win in a row tonight when they host the Toronto Tempo at Cambridge Fieldhouse. Tip-offs at 7 p.m. across the country on the USA Network if you want to watch it at home, because the game is sold out. And Caitlin Clark is listed as probable, and as today she was also named the Eastern Conference Player of the Week. So there you go. Anthony Richardson, former Colt. Michael Pittman Jr. also planning to hook up for a private player-led passing camp in Florida early next month to keep the first team offense in rhythm before training camp opens on July 24th. Still cool. It's true because they're trying to be friends and connect on that level. So that's still awesome. That's what's trending this hour. More of the Real Jonathan Smith Show and Jared Dubin after the break on Indy Sports Ticket 1430.
Let's do this. It's the Real Jonathan Smith Show on Indy Sports Ticket, 1430 AM, 93.9 HD2, and always on the free Indy Sports Ticket app.
Hour number 3 of the Real Jonathan Smith Show getting underway here on Indy's Sports Ticket. Thanks for tuning in. No matter how you're tuning in, YouTube, X, the Indy Sports Ticket app, or 1430 AM. Joining me now is what I'm assuming, very happy Jared Dubin, who lives in New York and is a New York Knicks fan, does a great job covering the NBA over at Last Night in Basketball.com. Jared, have things in New York calmed down yet?
Nope, not at all.
Okay. Did you break any buses? Were you a part of that?
I was not part of that. I was trying to write immediately after the game, but was unsuccessful and had to wait until the next morning. So I was just listening to the sights and sounds outside of my apartment window.
What was it like? Like, just jubilation, obviously, but like anything that you can compare it to?
No, man, it's unlike anything I've experienced as a sports fan. You know, the championships my favorite teams won earlier in my life were all, you know, pre-adulthood, except for the Yankees winning in 2009. And even then, I was still only 22 years old when they won that title. It's just, and you know, the Knicks had never won in my lifetime before. The last time they had won was, you know, 14 years before I was born. I never thought I would get to experience this, and I'm extremely happy that I did, obviously.
At what point did you know that the Knicks were going to win Game 5?
Honestly, when the Knicks were only down by 5 at halftime, and then especially when they were only down by 7 at the end of the third quarter, after Karl-Anthony Towns picked up his 4th foul 15 seconds into the third, and the Spurs went up by as much as 15. When they were only down by 7 at the end of that third quarter, I was like, all right, this is probably going to happen. And then when Jalen Brunson hit that layup where he sort of hit Wemby in the chest with a forearm shiver and then had the right-handed scoop layup just over the top of his fingertips, and that cut the lead to 6 from 4, I was like, all right, this is happening.
Yeah, that happened. I'm trying to think. It was around the 4-minute mark for me. I started laughing because I was like, all the signs are there. It's a lot of De'Aaron Fox pull-up jumpers. It's a lot of average three-point shooters for the Spurs taking shots. Brunson was incredible. And yeah, this NBA Finals, I found it kind of weird because, like, I think we're going to look back and be like, it only went 5 games. But every game was close and was decided in the final 2 minutes, which is why Jalen Brunson wins Finals MVP. I had a great time watching the series just as a casual basketball fan. I have 2 NBA takes that I think are going to be impacted by this series that I'd like to run by you if that's cool.
Absolutely.
First one is we are going to see, I think, some Wemby inflation, kind of similar to like when Shaquille O'Neal was awesome. Teams carried extra centers because you needed more fouls for Shaq. And I think that we're going to see teams do something similar with big men, where like Adai Mora probably goes a little earlier in this draft than he should because teams are like, we need a 7'3" guy for him. And I think we're going to see some general managers get fired because of what Brunson did, which was incredible. What do you kind of think about those 2 things?
Yeah, I mean, the explosion of tall guys is probably going to happen. I think they need to be more than just tall guys, though. You know, you need the foot speed, the athleticism, and the strength. And you can't just be, you know, for lack of a better term, like the big stiff type of guys that a lot of teams employed during the Shaquille O'Neal era, where you were just using guys to pick up fouls. That's not going to work against Wemby, and it's not going to work in the modern NBA. It's a much different style of basketball. All that the guys that the teams were employing in the late 90s and early 2000s against Shaq, the rules were much different. They needed to just have the bulk to stand with him in the post and then foul him. That's not what you need for big guys against Wemby. So it's going to have to be a certain kind of player to be able to handle that kind of role. Like, will there be a lot more really tall guys? There also have to be those guys coming through the college ranks or coming through the international ranks. The guys have to exist. We're not just going to find the tallest people possible. They got to be talented too.
Yeah. Absolutely. What about Jalen Brunson? I know he's listed at 6'1", but there's no way. There's no way he's 6'1".
No, I'm 6 foot, and me and Jalen Brunson are almost the same size.
Okay. Does that give you hopes for an NBA future?
I have way too many injuries for an NBA future, my man.
Okay. All right. Well, like what? Did you tear your ACL? What's going on?
I tore both menisci in my knee. I've torn the labrum in both of my hips.
Oh my gosh.
I have broken just about every bone imaginable. I've had a lot of injuries over the years.
Can I ask what happened?
Yeah, I tore my knee twice. Once when I was first starting law school, and once when I was just finishing law school. And then my doctor said that I essentially tore my hip through friction over the next 10 years because it changed the way that I walked and ran. And I just leaned too hard on the opposite side of my body. And eventually the labrum just gave out. And then while I was rehabbing from the first hip labrum tear, I tore the opposite hip labrum, which is fairly common.
Yeah, that's not a fun surgery to come back from either. My sister tore the labrum in her hip when she was 17, and it was brutal. So I'm glad you're okay now. Are you okay now? That's a lot.
Oh yeah, it's going back almost 10 years ago now, so I'm doing all right. Thank you.
Okay, all right. Joined by Jared Dubin from last night in basketball.com, talking about his Knicks winning the NBA Finals. And look, everyone's roasting Becky Hammon right now. And which, because she called out Jalen Brunson by name, I guess it's a valid thing. But at the same time, Jalen Brunson's the third or fourth small guard in NBA history to lead his team to a finals. What do you think makes him different from a lot of the other guys that we've seen?
I don't know that he is that much different from a lot of the other guys that you've seen. I've never been a believer in you can't win with a certain kind of player. It takes the right context and the right, frankly, luck. Every title involves luck. I don't care how good your team is. There is going to be luck involved. And you have to have the right context, the right team around any kind of player. There were people that said you wouldn't be able to win a title with Dirk Nowitzki, or you wouldn't be able to win a title with Paul Pierce. I swear on my life, there were people that said you wouldn't be able to win a title with LeBron James. You just need, that really happened. People used to think you couldn't win a Super Bowl with Peyton Manning. You just need the right context around a player, the right team around a player. And the Knicks found that. And obviously Brunson is good enough. He proved over the last few years that he was good enough to be the best player on a championship team. And they had the right team around him at the right time. And they found the right alchemy this year. And that's what it was.
It was. And he was incredible. But I thought the second best player in the series for New York was OG Anunoby. And one of the things that I really enjoyed with the Knicks this year is I feel like there's this redemption arc is probably a bit too dramatic, but it's this, I think, consistent theme that, like you say, like the Mavericks didn't want to fork out the money to extend Brunson. Jimmy Butler goes to Minnesota, and everyone thinks Karl Anthony Towns is a soft losing player, even though he was 24 years old at the time. The Raptors didn't want to extend OG, so he winds up in New York. And just the way that all of this has come together has been really impressive. But I think of all the players, I've enjoyed watching OG the most. Can you just kind of talk about how he's improved over his time in New York? Because he's been there 4 years. Is that right?
I guess it's now 3.5 years.
Okay.
Since 2023.
Yeah, I guess that's right. So can you just kind of talk about how you've seen him improve from the time that he got there until now?
Yeah, I mean, he's a very similar player, obviously, to the one that he was in Toronto. He has improved specifically, I think, with the ball in his hands offensively, whether just as a guy beating closeouts, which you saw him do to Wemby multiple times throughout this final series, or even occasionally getting isolation or post-up opportunities. He doesn't get a ton of them. They don't call plays for him. But when he does get those opportunities and mismatches and things like that, he is so much better at putting the ball on the ground and being able to find his spaces in isolation or in pick and rolls or things like that. He is still, at this point, he's probably the most impactful non-center defender in the NBA. And he was already obviously an extremely high-level defender in Toronto, but he's become even better in New York. And the biggest thing is just he's been so much healthier in New York than he was in Toronto. So we're able to see him on the court so much more often than we were before, and that's helped him shine.
Absolutely. Again, joined by Jared Dubin from Last Night in Basketball.com. He is a New York Knicks fan. He talked a little earlier about just what the city's been like. In 20 years, what do you think you're going to remember the most about this finals?
The comebacks, obviously, coming back from 22 down against the Cavs, coming back from 29 down against the Spurs, the OG Anunoby tip-in, obviously, Brunson's closing game, like all of the closing games, to be honest with you, the comebacks and the closeouts, like they beat the Hawks by whatever it was, 49-51. They destroyed the Sixers in the closeout game. They destroyed the Cavs in the closeout game. And then obviously they walked down the Spurs for the fourth time in the finals in the closeout game. Like this was a team where if you left them any kind of opening whatsoever, they just took it every single time. And that's going to be sort of the indelible mark of them as a team. And then obviously, they go on this 15-1 run through the playoffs after going down 2-1 to the Hawks. And, the circumstances of that one loss were, let's just say, interesting.
Yeah, they lost 3 games by a combined 6 points in the playoffs, which is that's what I'll probably remember the most. It's like, even when they lost, the games were incredibly close. It's like the 9th best playoff record ever, tied with the 23-24 Boston Celtics. And there's been a lot of talk of like greatest Nick ever. I don't know how involved you are in those conversations. Obviously, you have to think about Walt Frazier, and like I know Ewing never won one, but like he was obviously a really big deal. In the 90s, you have Willis Reed's Game 7 in the 1970 finals, if I remember that correctly. Where does Brunson, do you think, kind of sit at amongst Knicks legends now?
Yeah, I mean, he's already in the mix, like he has accomplished as much or more than those guys. Like he has a finals and a finals MVP on his resume, which is obviously something Patrick Ewing can't claim. Willis Reed wins finals MVP, 70-73. I mean, Clyde Frazier also had one of the best closeout games of all time in 1970. And he is the franchise's, I think to me, obviously I didn't see him play, but just knowing all of his accomplishments, it seems to me as though he's the franchise's greatest player. Jalen Brunson already working his way well up there. And you would hope that he's not going to be done for a very long time. He can work his way up that list and into the Knicks as the greatest of all time. If assuming that he stays with the Knicks, which I can't imagine that he won't, and assuming that he stays healthy, which I hope that he does.
I hope he does too. I hope he doesn't take another pay cut, though. I feel like he's got one. I don't think he needs to do that again, which I think speaks to him and his
I don't
character.
think that's going to happen this time around.
Yeah, I don't think it is either. I do want to talk about San Antonio here a little bit. I don't want to be too harsh towards Wemby because, like, he's 22. When Michael Jordan was 22, he got swept in the first round against Boston, right? Like, most 22-year-olds don't lead their team to the NBA Finals. I think I thought that Amon Shumpert said it really well. There's a clip where he talked about like he needs to get with Duncan and just kind of learn what his go-to move is. Because you watched the series. I thought that the biggest difference was down the stretch. The Knicks knew exactly what they wanted, and the Spurs didn't. What do you think is kind of next for Wemby's development?
I think the big thing is getting stronger in his base and his core so that it's much more difficult to keep him from getting where he wants to go. This is specifically offensively. Next for him defensively, who the hell knows? Like, he could do basically anything you want defensively. Like, could he be better at sticking with guards on the perimeter? Yeah, but it's always going to be difficult for him to be able to do that just because he's so big. It's going to be difficult for him to stick with, guys that are Brunson size, but also he doesn't have to stick with them the entire way because he can block their shot from like 6 feet behind. Are there going to be times where he doesn't get to it? Like that layup that Brunson had, coming on the right side of the rim that made me believe that it was going to be the Knicks winning the game. Yeah, there are going to be times where that doesn't happen, but more often than not, he's going to be able to just use his length and his size to overcome some of the deficiencies that he has on the perimeter. Offensively, like I said, getting stronger in his base and in his core so he can get to wherever he wants to go on the court. And then I think not just rolling all the way to the rim, but on pops and on short rolls, having that jumper be a little cleaner, a little bit more consistent, especially like get in the Dirk Nowitzki office at the nail and really work on that 15-foot jumper. I think that's the space where he's going to be most unstoppable, just because you can see the whole court from there, and it's harder to bring double teams when you're one pass away and things like that. And he does have good vision, so he can make those looks out to the perimeter, and you're not going to be able to contest his shot if he gets the ball at that spot.
Yeah, kind of like Joel Embiid for the people who watch the basketball now, because like Joel Embiid, he gets the ball at the foul line, and it's like 2 points. It's over. Yeah, I agree with all of that. What do you think happens with De'Aaron Fox? Because he's going through it right now.
Yeah, I kind of feel bad for Fox, to be honest with you. Like, the guy played on a high ankle sprain throughout the Western Conference Finals and Finals. Like, you should not be playing basketball on a high ankle sprain. Like, you see that derail seasons for guys in the NBA, and especially, like, you see NFL guys with high ankle sprains. They're not the same for the rest of the season. It's a little bit different in the NBA, but you see that derail seasons a lot. You know, it happens, and it obviously derailed him throughout the conference finals and finals. He was not the same physically. You could see that he just did not have the same kind of speed or the same kind of shake that he normally has, and it really seemed to affect his ability to get to his jumper. A lot of stuff was flat, a lot of stuff was short, and I feel bad that he's getting so much blame. Granted, he is to blame for a lot of the big situations, you know, the decision to take that fast break layup in game 4, the decision to foul a couple different times. There are things that you can blame him for sure. But there was also probably just too much responsibility thrust onto his shoulders, considering the physical state he was in. And I feel for the guy. As to what's going to happen this summer, I think you do probably have to explore to see if there are other teams interested, to see if you could get help in the front court, get a little bit bigger on the perimeter, which I think was one of the issues the Spurs had in this series against the Knicks, who were just so much bigger on the perimeter than they were between Bridges and Hart and Anunoby. Getting something where you can upgrade at like the 4 spot and get a little bit more size out there. In addition to the issue with that, though, is you need the shooting from Devin Vassell and Julian Champagnie, especially if you're going to play Dylan Harper and Stephon Castle next to each other in the backcourt. So it's a difficult balance to strike, especially because you did see at times the Spurs offense would kind of fall apart with Fox not on the floor, because he gave them like valuable offensive organization, which they don't have just yet from Harper or Castle.
That's a great point. That is something that I haven't heard anybody else say. And that, like you said, you know, so like that's the whole point of having a 28-year-old veteran point guard, a guy who can just help you settle in. I love that you said that. I think that's an awesome point. Again, joined by Jared Dubin from last night in basketball.com, who does a great job of covering the NBA there. I'm glad you brought up the front court as well, because I'm a big believer in basketball that when you have to win 4 different series, like you need multiple options. They got to the finals. But even just for flexibility, like if you can find a stretch 4, I think that'd be very beneficial for them. The problem is free agency's not really an option. You're really good, so you're going to get to, you know, draft in the late 20s. So I agree on both of those points. Well, last thing for you, Jared, and I'll let you go. Mitch Johnson's kind of going through it here as well. What'd you make of just kind of how he coached through the finals?
Yeah, I mean, he didn't have the best series, but you know what? The Spurs didn't have the best series. It's on everybody. Mitch Johnson is a really good coach. He did one of the best coaching jobs in the NBA this season. And just like the players will learn from their experience in the finals, he'll learn from his experience in the finals. I'm not worried about him at all going forward.
I'm not either. And like, this was everybody's first run. Like, that is the thing that I think keeps getting lost. Like, I was looking at it, but before.
I mean, look, Mike Brown back in 2007 went to the finals with the Cavs, and none of them had a good series. You know, you look at it now, 19 years later, and Mike Brown is, a genius.
He is a genius. He's a great coach. Sacramento running him out of town. It was just, it's why they're the Kings. We can just leave that there.
Yeah.
So, all right, Jared. Well, dude, congratulations. Even though you're a Knicks fan, I am happy for you. One day, one of my favorite teams will reach the mountaintop, and it'll be great. So, I really appreciate your time, just kind of throughout the playoffs and everything. I know you're covering stuff over at CBSSports.com as well for the NFL. You writing anything up on the supplemental draft? Because that's a thing now.
Yeah, we've got that all covered at CBS. That's not my lane because I'm not into prospects until it gets closer to the actual NFL draft. And Sorsby was not a prospect this year that we had to be worried about. But we've got our whole NFL draft team covering all of that from every angle.
Sounds good. What are you working on right now?
I'm working on something about Cam Jordan coming back to the Saints for CBSSports.com right now, and we'll have a whole lot of different stuff throughout the summer. We always have, interesting lists and teams and whatnot coming out over the summer as we try to kill our time and make our way through the off season until training camp comes around. And then I'll have the NBA off season covered from every possible angle at lastnightinbasketball.com as well.
Sounds good. Jared, thank you so much for your time, man.
Thanks for having me. Have a good day.
You got it. That is Jared Dubin. Again, lastnightinbasketball.com. If you want to read his NBA stuff, you can read him at CBSSports.com as well. Big Knicks fan. Jeez, Jonathan. So very, very happy for him. Speaking of basketball, we've got the NBA draft coming up in a week. Top 10 Tuesday. I'm counting down my biggest NBA draft takes. Victor Wembanyama, his team's panic buying tall players like it's toilet paper in 2020, and why one incoming rookie is going to get instantly frustrated playing with Trae Young in 3 minutes.
may, one day, be a must-listen for sports enthusiasts.
Yeah, and monkeys might fly out of my butt.
Uh-oh.
The Real Jonathan Smith Show on Indy Sports Ticket 1430 AM, 93.9 HD2, and always on the free Indy Sports Ticket app.
I lied. We're not going to do top 10 Tuesday. We don't have enough time to do that before our next break. Shout out again to Jared Dubin for joining the show. Welcome into the Real Jonathan Smith Show here on Indy's Sports Ticket. Thank you for tuning in. No matter how you're tuning in, YouTube, Indy Sports Ticket. If you want to head over there and subscribe, you can watch the show on X__Jonathan Smith to follow me there and watch the show there. You can also listen on the Indy Sports Ticket app, which you can download wherever you find your apps, and of course 1430 AM as well. Chris, did you see the idiot who bet $1 million, $1 million on Pauly Market for Spain to beat Cape Verde?
I did not see this.
Yeah, his payout would have been like $80,000. Would you bet $1 million on anything to win $80,000?
No, that doesn't sound good.
No. What an idiot. I mean, look.
I take it he didn't win.
No, they drew.
Oh,
so
right.
0-0.
So you just get your money back in the draw?
No. In soccer, if they draw, there is no push.
Oh, wow.
You have to bet a draw. So you can bet, because you were asking how to bet it earlier.
Right.
You can bet a draw straight up. You can obviously bet each team to win. You can bet each team to cover. It's like France is probably like a goal and a half favorite today against Senegal. So you can bet that line one way or the other. You can obviously bet the over or under on goals, but you can also bet draw / this team wins. So like on Friday, if you wanted to be extra American, you could bet America to win against Australia, or if you want to play a little safer, you can bet a draw or America to win.
Okay.
But there is no push. That is not a thing.
Got it.
Whenever you bet soccer. Yeah. Important information for you.
Noted.
Yeah. So yeah, I just look at me talking smack about a guy who had the ability to bet $1 million on something. But what an idiot. I don't know how that guy earned $1 million doing something that stupid.
I mean, disposable income, I guess, right? I mean, I
would hope not.
I get shaky when I bet $20, let alone $1 million.
If I bet, it's a small amount.
Yeah.
It's a small amount. So, but no, I saw that, like, you know, like I think sports gambling's a blast. I dabble, you know.
Yeah, I'm not Brandon Sorsby, but
yeah. You mean you're not placing, 2,000 bets? I bet $90,000.
No,
you're not doing that.
But
no?
I think before you came back, me and Dan had a conversation about this, and like it was before Kalshi or whatever got really popular. I was like, dude, I wish I could bet on, something crazy, like how many raindrops hit the road or something silly, right? And then Kalshi came up and started doing these crazy bets, like how long's the next commercial going to be or something wild like that.
Yeah. But
it's not available in Indiana. I tried it. It won't let you do it. But if that was possible and we could do it, I could see where the addiction might come from, right? The Brennan Sorsby level of betting on everything.
You sound like you want to bet pitches at a baseball game.
If I knew about, like, I'm not talking about thousands of dollars. I'll throw like 50 cents on whether or not this guy tags the guy out at second or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's a little different to me.
When I moved here, I got invited to a Super Bowl party. Okay. I knew one guy there, so I'm just hanging out. You know me. I just want to watch the game. And there was a girl. She sat in the back, and she bet on every play. She bet run or pass every play. And I was like, I don't know how you're having fun right now. She got all of them wrong.
She was just back there losing
it's
money.
Like, lady, it's 1st and 10, and they're up by 7. They're gonna run the football. Promise.
But she did it anyway, huh?
Yeah, she was just looking for something to do. Best gambling experience I've ever had was not for one of my own bets. My buddy, the Titans were playing in the playoffs. This is when they had Derrick Henry, and Derrick Henry was like banged up coming into the game, and so they're like, how many carries is he gonna get? You could bet the number of carries that he got. not yards, just how many times do the Titans turn around and hand the ball off to Derrick Henry? And the number was like 21.5, and he bet the over. So every time they handed Derrick Henry the football, we're like, let's go.
Right.
You know, like 20 more, you know.
Yeah, that makes sense.
We're working our way down and went the ball off to him for the 22nd time. That house erupted.
I can only imagine.
You would have thought like the Colts won a playoff game or something. Like 22. Everyone's like, let's, you know, and it ended up being like 28 carries. Easy over. And I like betting stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because I think it's harder to get frustrated. Whereas, like, if you're betting, like, rushing yards, right, and the left guard misses a block, now you're mad at the left guard for the next 4 snaps.
Right, yeah.
Or the running back, like, breaks a tackle, looks up, sees 3 more defenders, and then he runs backwards. They're like, what are you doing, you know?
Yeah.
And so,
I get it.
Whereas, like, when you're just counting, like, carries or pass attempts, much more fun for me.
That's fair. I would have to know exactly who these people are that I would be betting on. I can't just bet on Joe Schmo.
Like Derrick Henry.
Yeah, that's a given. I know Derrick
yeah.
Henry. I know he's tough, yada, yada, whatever. But, like, I think my toughest, I don't know, the most that I ever really did it was during March Madness. And I don't know all the players for all the schools. I'm just going to bet the entire game because I don't know if, like, Johnny Joe is going to score 16 and have 3 assists or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or take 28 shot attempts. Like, I would bet on the whole game, but I was so into it that after March Madness was done, I was like playing out of country basketball games. Like it's Africa versus Netherlands. I don't even know where to watch that game, but I'm putting $1 on it. I don't know, something crazy, but I never really got into it. I won't unless I super know what's going on. Yeah. I'm not that careless.
I get it. Okay. So you were talking about how you would only bet on certain players that you know.
Right.
So we talked a couple weeks ago about how, like, dog content, not my favorite thing. I think it's too easy, right? So not a big dog content guy. I've found content, though, that I hate more than that.
Really?
Yeah. It makes me so mad every time I see it. So there's this guy. His whole bit is like, do you know ball? And so he'll walk around and he'll be like, name an obscure NBA player. And you would say, try and name someone that you think no one else would name. That is the point of this.
Okay.
So you would say, think of the most obscure basketball player.
I don't know, Tyler Hero.
Okay. And then he would be like, that's not ball knowledge. Everyone knows who Tyler Hero is.
Sure.
It's really annoying. But the thing that I hate about it is, like, that's not ball knowledge. That is, you just memorized a bunch of names on a roster sheet.
Yeah.
Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah. I've not seen this.
It makes me so upset every time I see it.
Frustrating.
You know?
Yeah.
And it's just like, oh, this guy named the 9th player in the rotation for the Pacers from 25 years ago. That's cool. Can you tell me how to read this ball screen, though? Oh, you can't? Then shut up.
Yeah.
You know, sorry. Little side tangent there. It bothers me to not my core. But every time this guy pops up, I'm like, get this guy off my feed.
Yeah.
Is there any content that pops up on your feed that you're like, get this out of my face? I don't want to see this.
I mean, there's not really, but there's sometimes it's a little too much of one thing, or I don't know.
What's your screen time?
What, like on Instagram?
No. Sunday morning, 9:30. You have an iPhone, right?
Yeah.
You should get a notification telling you how much time you spend on your phone on average per day. What is it? Do you know?
Like what app?
No. It tells you.
I don't know.
It tells you. So, like, here.
I might have it turned it off.
Like here. Here's my phone. If you can reach it. Ugh. This is great radio. You see how it says, like, you spend on average 3 hours and 32 minutes a day on your phone?
Yeah.
That.
Okay.
What is that for you?
It doesn't say. I don't get that notification.
What? What do you think it is?
I think it's turned off. I don't know, because, like, I always run background stuff. Like, I run music and stuff. So does that count?
I don't think that counts.
Being on?
No. I don't think that counts.
Okay. I don't know.
Your screen's not.
I'll look at it.
I'm really curious because everyone's like, I think it's this, and then it ends up being double that.
Are you sharing your screen time with the audience here? Is that what you're getting at?
I just did 3 hours and 32 minutes per day.
Okay, so this is something that compiles on Sunday, right?
Okay, yeah.
So, right?
Yeah.
Let's see here.
Here we go.
Trying to find it.
He's got the glasses on, scrolling intently. It should be in your settings. Anyway.
Yeah, I found this. I found screen time here, but it doesn't say.
I'm just curious because, like, I don't know. But all right. So
it's probably not as much as you think, man, because I'm always working. So I don't have time to look at my
yeah,
phone.
but like when you're on you're telling me you don't look at your phone when you drive? There's no way. Everyone looks at their phone when they drive.
So we're looking at daily average?
Yes.
My daily average.
Yep.
That can't be right.
That's what everybody says.
It's like 9 hours.
Yeah. I believe that.
Yeah, down 13% from last week.
Oh, it is down.
I don't know, man. Like I said, I leave apps running because I play music on it, but that doesn't count.
It'll tell you how it breaks down. We can look at it. I'm fascinated by this because that's what everybody does. Everyone's like, "Oh, this much? What in the world? That can't be right." I felt the same way the first time I saw mine.
3 hours?
Mine was 3.5 hours. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. All right. Well, apparently I'm a
here. We can look at it
junkie.
during the break. I've got some takes. We won't do all of Top 10 Tuesday, but I'll give you the cliff notes. I'll give you my biggest takes for the NBA draft coming up next week in 3 minutes.
The best takes. Maybe. The Real Jonathan Smith Show on Indy Sports Ticket 1430 AM, 93.9 HD2, and always on the free Indy Sports Ticket app.
The NBA draft is a week away. So for Top 10 Tuesday, I decided to do 10 big takes leading up to the NBA draft. Cue the music.
Top 10 Tuesday.
May not be able to get to all 10 here, but hey, we'll see what we can do. Number 10, or the first take. Let me count this off. First take, Cam Boozer is going to be the best basketball player in this draft. He is the guy I would take number 1 overall. He's an incredible basketball player, and that is what we are drafting. He's not a great vertical athlete. Who cares? A lot of power forwards aren't great vertical athletes. Dirk, Tim Duncan, Karl Malone, and so on. You need power forwards now to be able to play on the perimeter, guard multiple positions, and rebound. He does all of those things, and he can be the hub of your offense. So many of the best NBA players right now aren't special athletes. SGA, Jokic, Luka, Kawhi, Jaylen Brown, Steph Curry, Jalen Brunson, Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, and so on. None of those guys have 40-inch verticals. Judging a basketball player purely by his vertical leap is like judging a master chef by how fast that they can run out of the kitchen. Sure, speed's cool, but I'm here for the product that they cook up on the floor. It looks cool, but who cares about a 40-inch vertical? This isn't a high jump league. It's a basketball league. And Cam Boozer can dribble, pass, shoot, process, post up, rebound, and defend better than a lot of the guys in the NBA right now. He's the guy that I would take. Number 9, Darius Acuff, my second take. Jeez. Darius Acuff, gonna be fun. Don't know if you want him as your best player, though. You have to be willing to play defense. Steph Curry, Jalen Brunson, and Isaiah Thomas are the only 3 small guards ever to win championships as the best players on their team. Isaiah Thomas was a good defender. Steph and Brunson were willing defenders who just kind of found a way to survive. I don't think Acuff is a willing defender. I think he's more Kyrie than anything else offensively. Watching Acuff play offense is like watching a brilliant solo guitarist. Sounds incredible, but the rest of the band is just standing and tapping their feet, waiting for a turn. If he's your best offensive player, it's a lot of watching him dribble. If he's your second best offensive player, you love that. Kyrie has never won anything apart from LeBron. The teams he was on where he was the best player weren't good. He ends up in Dallas with Luka. All of a sudden, he's good again. That's the kind of guy that I think Darius Acuff is going to be. Third take, Keaton Wagler is the best point guard in this draft class. Everyone, again, is enamored with Darius Acuff because he was awesome at Arkansas. He can score at every level. He's big, long. He's a good athlete. Again, Acuff's getting compared to Kyrie. I don't know about that. I see the vision, though. But he's an awful defender, and he showed no interest in defending at Arkansas. That has to change, whereas with Wagler, he defended at Illinois. He's a better passer than I think Acuff is. He takes more risks, so he turns it over a little bit more, but I think he takes more risks because he sees the floor better. He's a bigger player, and I think he'll be the 5th pick in this year's NBA draft, and I think he'll be better than Darius Acuff. Number 4, fourth take, Darren Peterson is going to be fine in the NBA. Okay, he's not going to deal with cramps. He's going to score 1 million points. I don't know about the rest of his game, though. I think he's a very gifted scorer. This sounds crazy, but he could be Kobe. Very fluid mover with a nice jump shot. I don't think he'll be Kobe, but that's his ceiling. I think he's that special as just a pure scorer. The lack of playmaking is concerning from him at Kansas, though, and I'd like to see a little more athleticism. Okay, if he was really dealing with injuries, then that's obviously not as big of a concern. Fifth take here. AJ DeBonsa is going to go number 1, and everyone's going to get mad at Trae Young for not passing him the basketball next year. Having a bunch of assists doesn't mean you're a great playmaker. Just doesn't. Great playmakers elevate their teammates. I don't think that Trae Young does that. For example, Tyrese Halliburton has lower assist numbers but than Trae Young, but anyone watching, I think, understands the difference between the two. Halliburton elevates his teammates, and Trae Young does not. And it's likely going to be frustrating next year watching Trae Young ignore the new face of the Washington Wizards, which will likely be A.J. DeBonta. Sixth take here. Caleb Wilson is really fun to watch in highlight reels, but I don't know how good of a basketball player he is. Caleb Wilson is a 6'10" freak that's going to go number 4 overall to the Chicago Bulls. And if you watch 5 minutes of highlights on YouTube, you could convince yourself he's the best player in the draft. Soars over everyone for awesome dunks and blocks. Can't really do much else, though. Can't really shoot. Only took 27 threes all year at North Carolina. He shot 71% from the foul line. He's not a good passer. He's a willing one, to his credit. Doesn't really have the handle to create his own shot. He's essentially a high-end movie trailer. You watch, the 2-minute trailer and you get really excited. But then you watch, there's not much of a plot. Caleb Wilson's peak is a defensive anchor who scores off cuts and lobs. If the jumper develops, maybe he can be special, but that's a big if. Not everyone develops a jump shot in the NBA. Seventh take here. Yeah, a point guard that should go in the top 10 will fall outside of the top 12. After you get past the big 4, there's a long list of guards. When you look at the 11 best players in the draft, you can make a real argument that 6 of them are point guards. If I had to bet on one of those guys to fall, it would be Kingston Flemings, just because I think he's the smallest of all of them. Seventh take, Malik Thomas is going to be the best late first-round draft pick. He's going to come off the bench and get buckets in the NBA for a long time, and he can guard the ball. He's a special player that got overshadowed by Darius Acuff at Arkansas. In the NBA, though, I think his game works really well. He can catch and shoot. He's great off screens. He's got real size, 6'5", with long arms. He's a former 5-star guy coming out of high school. Whoever takes him, for reference, he's projected to go anywhere between picks 25 to 30. They're going to get a good player. Ninth take, Adai Mara is going to go too high. I don't think he should go earlier than 12 to OKC. If they don't take him, he shouldn't go in the top 15. Some team is going to take him just because he's tall. I think Wemby inflation is going to be a massive thing going forward. Big guys who can move, yeah, they're all going to get drafted now because teams are frantically buying up tall players the same way people frantically bought toilet paper during COVID, just hoarding size because they're terrified of being left exposed. And then finally, Dalen Swain is my guilty pleasure player in this NBA draft. Love him more than I should. He's a 6'8" junior out of Texas. If you're a Purdue fan, you probably remember him from the Sweet 16 game during March Madness. I think Swain attacks the rim in a very rare way in terms of how fluid he moves for a guy his size. Still needs to develop the jumper, but it improved every year he was in college. He's a good defender as well. I think he could be a really nice NBA player if the jump shot continues to develop. Think an OG Anunoby type where he can knock down at his peak. I think he could be OG Anunoby. Nice little catch and shoot guy from 3 who can attack a closeout and is athletic enough to finish above the rim. So that is your quick version of my 10 NBA draft takes before the NBA draft, which starts next week. We've also got soccer today. France and Senegal is happening here in 9 minutes. That is the match of the day. France is minus 210 to win. They have definitely the best attack of any team that's in the World Cup this year, headlined by Kylian Mbappe. There should be, hopefully, several goals scored in that game. There will definitely be several chances created. With that being said, Chris, what did we learn today on the
All
real
right, class.
Jonathan Smith
What
Show?
did we learn today?
Sorry, didn't mean to cut you off there.
No. Hey, happens all the time.
So we learned a few things. According to my phone stats, I'm on it way too damn much. So
9 hours a day.
no, we looked at it and was like, all right. So
A lot of it is the app that you use to fall asleep.
yeah. So it stays on while you're sleeping. But yeah, That's crazy. We learned that Jonathan isn't willing to pony up $5 to rent one of the best movies of all time.
Idiocracy is not one of the best movies ever.
It is one of the best movies of all time, and you will say the same after you see it. We also learned that I am confident in my ability to impress if only given 2 to 4 minutes.
That's right. That's right.
Get it. We learned that Jonathan has an excellent chance of logging more weddings this year than the Colts wins in the upcoming season.
Yeah. Agreed.
I've learned that I've learned a lot about soccer over the past few days and the World Cup, but still kind of confused overall. That's okay.
What's confusing? What do you not get?
We're not getting into it right now, man.
Okay. All right.
We also learned that Brendan Sorsby becoming a Colt actually doesn't sound like a bad plan, but Ballard would probably still find a way to screw that up as well.
Probably.
That's what we learned today on the Real Jonathan Smith Show, unless you have something as well.
I do not. How do you feel about Sorsby potentially being a Colt?
I think you made it sound really beneficial to the Colts, given the situation. I mean, since we're in the situation that we're in, I don't think it's a bad idea, but
yeah. How else
the way you explained it, like you cut it perfectly, dude. We haven't had somebody stick around for longer than 1 or 2 years since Luck, and the dude could sit behind Daniel Jones and pick up some things, and I'd feel okay about it over Leonard or Richardson, really.
Yes, seriously, and even with like Richardson, that dude has played in 15 games. That's it. Or his record is 8-7. He started 15 games. That's it. Like, come on now.
Now, as long as he doesn't like try to bet on NFL games once he gets into the NFL, I think he'll be okay. And people, like you said, will forget about it, like Tiger Woods.
That's why you stick him away for a year. That's why you hide him, and then that's it. And then everyone forgets about him, and that's not really a joke. Like that happens all the time.
If he bet on the Colts once he played for the Colts and the defense that we're playing against that week got wind of it, they would destroy him. Absolutely, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's not okay for your own pockets, let alone, defensive Joe on the other side who's trying to win a ring and earn his paycheck.
Yeah. It's just, I want him, but we'll see. We'll see. We'll see. Feels like the only pathway to hope for the Colts. So, all right, that's going to do it here on The Real Jonathan Smith Show. Thank you for tuning in, no matter how you're tuning in, whether that's YouTube, X, the Indy Sports Ticket app, or 1430 a.m. Hopefully you enjoyed the show today. We will be back tomorrow starting at noon, talking Colts, NBA Draft, the World Cup, and so much more. Talk to you tomorrow starting at noon. See ya.